Morning. Morning, Roxanne. Blessings to you. I don't know why I'm not seeing my brooms. Morning, Ruthman. Oria Gani. Morning, Denise Bramble. Morning to you. Althea. Morning. No one that's seeing the brooms, Roxanne. I don't know why. I used to be seeing it before. I don't know what's going on now. Ruben Rogers. Morning, Carol Boyce John. Morning to you, Lynette Harris. Pauline Buckmeyer. Morning. Aline Lewis, morning Aline. Lisa Atwater, morning. Cyril Miyas, Tona Walcott, The Real Raga, morning to you guys. See on Facebook we have Diane Charles, morning Diane. Odette Jeffrey, morning. Good morning to His Excellency, the President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Mauricia. Nigel, you're doing backup for your cousin. I was listening to the interview yesterday. Well, I should say your cousins, plural. Winston Jack, morning. Jenny Joseph, Bonnie Love, morning. Annette Beard, morning to you. Alison Rogers Joseph, Anton Batiste, morning. Mina Lazari, morning, sir. Candice Joseph, morning. Alison Boyce, morning. So, Track Guru Monkey, morning to you. And Niles. Why does this keep saying slow connection? Desmond Samuel, morning. Evelyn Clark, morning to you. Morning to all. Jared Pollinate, morning. Cheryl Seeley, morning. Joy Ragunana, morning to you. Good morning to all of the new followers on the Debunking UNC Lies page. I noticed we're seeing an uptick of persons who are following, in fact, on a daily basis. Seeing a number of persons in the last day or so. We've had close to 200 new followers. Interesting. Very interesting. And to all of the folks who I continue to meet on a daily basis all over the place, wherever I go, I seem to be encountering persons who listen to the live. So, feel free to say hello. I am not one of those persons who aloof and that kind of thing. Yeah, come, we'll have a chat. Ria Edward, morning. Ashton Clark, Hazel Alain, morning. Trevor Carter Nelson, morning. Linda Supreme, morning to you. Natalie F. Morning. Right, so I did say once I had opportunity to read that judgment, I would give my thoughts on that whole issue with Crew. But I have a couple of things I need to speak to before I get to that. So I see opposition leader Kamala Prasad-Bissessar has asked whether any senior officials at Paria Fuel Trading Company Limited had their employment contracts renewed before the Paria Commission of Inquiry report was laid in the House of Representatives. She asked this at the end of the UNC's second anti-crime town hall meeting at Naparima College, San Fernando on Monday. The Commission of Inquiry report dealt with an accident, blah, blah, blah. Prasad-Bissessar stated that she heard claims that the employment contracts of two Paria officials named in the report were extended before it was laid in the House. She questioned if they were the ones the report found was culpable in their behavior. Then why did you renew their contracts secretly during the period before the report was made public? Prasad-Bissessar also asked whether the alleged renewal of the contracts of the officials was done by Paria's board or cabinet. I want to ask Kamala, since you're asking questions and you want to know if people's contracts were renewed, did LMCS fire anybody as a result of that Paria incident? The man who was responsible for giving the instructions to remove the plug did Kazim Ali Sr., the owner, we'll come to that. Did Kazim Ali, the boss man at LMCS, did he fire this individual who was previously demoted for whatever reason before, right? And this is the same man to whom responsibility or blame was apportioned for the removal of the plug that caused the Delta P. You were asking no questions about if anybody get fired or suspended or whatever at LMCS, but you want people to go to Paria, right? Paria wasn't responsible for the causing the Delta P, but you only want to focus on after what happened after the Delta P. But we're not studying what led to, what caused, and who was responsible, and whether or not such persons were disciplined. No, but you want to know if people at Paria, if the contracts were renewed and all that foolishness. You see, this one-sidedness, but we know. But I wanted to ask another question. Is it that LMCS sold out their assets? Because I have it on good authority that they did. In anticipation of a civil suit, that the assets may have been sold out. Not may have been, was sold, right, for a significant sum of money. So that if the company was sued, they have no assets to be seized to pay the debt or to satisfy any judgment that would come out of such a civil case. So when I hear Mr. Kazim Ali talking about since the incident, they've not received any work, and the Minister of Energy gave instructions to Paria not to give them any work, which Stuart Young has denied. Where you get work? You have any assets? You have any equipment to do any work? If you sell it out to try and hide whatever monies you have and so on, because it's a limited liability company, so they can't. If a suit has to be brought against the company, and the liability of the owner is limited to whatever assets he has in the business, but they wouldn't go after his personal unless they sue him personally, right? But it is company. So you pull her past on, but she's not going to ask that question. The reason why she wouldn't ask, because she knows the answer to it. Because again, we know the relationship that the UNC has with LMCS, right? That the wife of the owner of the former owner of LMCS, the owner of the assets, was at one time the chairwoman or the chairman of the UNC's Women's League. But they're trying to pull up, ease us up with that now, Mrs. Wasabi says, and these foolish questions, right? But we're going to come back to that. We will come back to that issue. Because I know people beg me to talk about the Cocoa issue, but anyway, we will get to that shortly. So there are quite a few questions other than what I just read there for you that Mrs. Wasabi Sasa needs to be asking. Let me get to this other point here. So, on the Instagram page of the Vice President of the United States of America, I saw she posted a picture. So let me get it here. Right, so this picture was posted when? 9 hours ago. A picture of herself and Dr. Rowley. And it reads, "It was good to see Prime Minister Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago again and continue our work to address the climate crisis, strengthen climate resilience, and promote regional security." Right? Yes. So, in case you all haven't seen it, that's a picture there of the PM and the Vice President of the United States of America. And I know the UNC leadership, the hierarchy of the UNC probably stewing in their fat. They don't like to see them things. How can I tell you, Dr. Rowley like to waste money and he just go and he love to jet set. Now he just pick up himself and go up and fly. And there is no benefit to be had from his trips. That's the nonsense that they'll be talking, right? But we see the Prime Minister is working. He left Trinidad on Sunday, was it Sunday afternoon or so? And by Monday morning, he was sitting in one of the appendages of the White House with meetings with the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. And he continues to have high-powered meetings. Yesterday, he met with several congressional leaders, the like of Hakeem Jeffries, who I think is the leader of the Democratic Party in the lower, what we call the lower house. And also, we see here, he also met with Vice President Kamala Harris and others yesterday, discussing a wide range of issues pertaining to Trinidad and Tobago's security, safety, economic issues, and all of these things. So your prime minister working for you. Where are the pictures of Prasad Bisesa? And again, whenever these issues come up, because the supporters of that party always like to talk about how much I saw Garth Christopher, who goes by Break Free HD. Break Free, yes. Talking nonsense about the amount of money Dr. Rowley is spending on per diem. And since he's been prime minister, it probably come up to about $1.5 million or so. The money that the prime minister is afforded to pay for meals and other incidents. So I will remind him, it's been almost 9 years Dr. Rowley has been prime minister, and not once has he gone abroad and we've heard any complaints of him having to use his personal credit card because the government credit card malfunctioned. Conveniently, it happened when Prasad Bisesa was prime minister. Dr. Rowley has not had that problem, which would result in some low-level functionary in the office of the prime minister having to receive monies to deposit into their personal account, to write a check, to deposit into Dr. Rowley's account. You know, that is proper accounting practices, according to that side. I note as well that on this trip, and by extension every other trip that Dr. Rowley has taken since he's become prime minister, not once did he have to request a whole jumbo jet from Caribbean Airlines. Not once did Caribbean Airlines have to pull a whole jumbo jet out of operations to provide it for the prime minister and his entourage to fly by jumbo jet to wherever it is they have to go. Dr. Rowley flies commercial. Right? He sits on the plane with everybody else. You know, I'm sure he travels business class, but same plane he going on. So he sit down up in front, and as people, I don't know if it is he boards the plane last or if he boards the plane first. That make more sense about it last. But anyway, so as people come into the plane and they could see him there and all who vex with him and don't like him, if they want to cuss him, you could do that too. But he exposes himself to that, as opposed to Prasad Bisesa, who felt the need to have the state pay millions of dollars just to use a jumbo jet that could carry 200 people, 250 people, 153 people, just to carry 40 something. South Africa. Well, South Africa, yeah. China, Brazil, India. There was somewhere else that you went. But they don't count how much money it costs you, the taxpayers. Because the same woman who criticized Mr. Manning for wanting to buy a private jet felt that she needed to travel by jumbo jet. Just thought I would put that in the mix. Right? Okay. So I see again, the whole issue of the dragon gas deal has come up. I have never seen a bunch of unpatriotic bastards like the likes of those persons on that party, who continue to look for every single avenue whereby they could scuttle this dragon gas. I don't understand. What is their hatred? Well, no, I understand. Let me not say that. I understand what the hatred is, right? Because what the dragon gas deal presents in terms of boosting the economy further than it already is, they can't handle that. Anything that would give this administration any kind of fillip, any kind of political mileage going into the 2025 general election, they are against. Even if it means that the dragon gas deal is permanently scuttled, they don't care. They don't care. We just don't want it because in the 5 years, 2 months, and 14 days that they were in office, they couldn't do what Dr. Rowley did. They don't want the dragon gas deal and its success. They must always say that Rowley's legacy was the highest crime rate in the country. Rowley's legacy was the most amount of unemployed persons, the most amount of layoffs. That should be Rowley's legacy. Nothing positive. Not a project like dragon gas that spans 3 administrations. That the Manning administration couldn't do it. The Prasad Bisesa administration couldn't do it. But the Rowley administration has made the most headway, has come the closest. I listened last night. I was going through channels and so on. And Karen Nunes Teixeira was a guest host on Louis Lee Singh's television station, that program called Talking Points. It's their morning talk show. She and Sean Small. And she came to talk about dragon gas. And it's like, here this woman waste down the dragon gas. And I don't see where they're making a big issue about license, because all they get is a license and la la la, and Shell still have to make a decision on that. And Shell has shareholders, and if I was a shareholder in Shell, and I would look at the person who is in charge of Venezuela now and on long-term prospects and all of that, what only negatives coming out of this woman? The one thing I was very surprised that she spoke positively about was something yes, as I said, I was surprised that she actually said something positive, and it had to do with the UNC's crime talks. And she agreed that it was more of a UNC political meeting than really a forum for anybody, regardless of political persuasion, to come and share ideas and speak and so on. And she said somebody sent her a clip of Johnny Abraham's speech and so on, and referenced how the Prime Minister would have told Abraham to shut up. And she said, well, I know the person was expecting me to rile up and come to the defense of Johnny Abraham against the Prime Minister. But she said, when I looked at it, I could understand where the Prime Minister was coming from, basically. And she felt that the Prime Minister was correct, because she saw, that was really a UNC, another version of the Monday Night Forum, right? So that was the only thing that she could really agree with the government on. She was not talking about. Anyway, people don't want good for this. You come to a bad talk. You were there for what, 2 hours? And nothing positive. You couldn't offer a strategy coming to talk about who the government put all the countries' eggs in one economic basket. Well, they need to stop talking that nonsense. That is not true. 2 days ago, Foster Cummins, the Minister of Youth Development and National Service, would have launched the 1,000 Entrepreneurs by 2025 program. I call it that. Well, that's the unofficial name of it, right? 1,000 Entrepreneurs by 2025. A $20 million grant funding program where budding entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who currently have a small business, a medium-sized business that is, I think, 18 months or less, can get a grant of up to $20,000 to be able to expand their business or start their business. But you're not just getting a grant, you're also getting technical support. And if it is later on down the road, you need to get additional monies or financial support. Programs are being put in place through NEDCO. 1,000 entrepreneurs by 2025. And they've opened up the link. You go on the ministry's website and it is there. You apply for the grant and so on. And then part of the grant funding is that you would be required to attend training for, I think, is a 15-day period. So you're not just going to get this money and they leave you to your own devices. You are going to get step-by-step support. They're going to hold your hand through the process of either starting your business or expanding your business. But nobody ain't talking about that, Karen wouldn't talk about that. Kamala wouldn't talk about that and the impact that can have on fighting crime. Right? $20,000 grant, 1,000 persons. We wouldn't talk about, let's see how we could go into these at-risk communities and see who we have inside there who have business aspirations or business ideas, and they just need to come forward. Persons who may not be aware that this program has been launched, let's see how we could get it out there so that they can become aware and apply. So instead of idle hands for the Devil's Workshop, we now have these persons could be directed in a different place to start their business. They ain't talking about it. No, they're not talking about that. You might see it, the evening news might talk about it on the day because it was launched and is news. You might see it mentioned. Was that a front page issue? You would think something like that. Was that a front page on any of the dailies? I was asking, was it front page? That is nothing for front page, right? Okay. But government are doing nothing. And the economy in a mess and all of that. And what are we doing for diversification? Well, if creating 1,000 new entrepreneurs by 2025 is not an effort, and this is separate and apart from the Homestead program, which is also intended to create entrepreneurs, agro entrepreneurs, 200 per year, in addition to this 1,000, because they also have as another 24 million has been set aside for that program as well. So the government is investing the money in the people directly. They ain't coming to talk about, we're creating jobs and 55,000 jobs because we want to make you an employee. Come and get a 8 to 4 or get a 9 to 5, right? No, they say come and work for yourself. Create a business so that instead of everybody depending on the state for employment, you could now become an employer. Even if you start off with 2 people or 3 people, and then as your business grows, you could hire more people. Let us not limit business to the 1% and the 9%. Let us engage the next 90% to come. The government is saying, look, where is the UNC equivalent? Where is the People's Partnership equivalent? Right? Where is it? Color me orange. Baby grant, $500 a month to make child. They set aside $120 million to encourage people to go and make children that they can't mind, and we will give you $500 a month. 120 million. This administration, instead, is putting out money to encourage people to become business owners so they could earn the money. So if you want to make child, your business could support the child. And we will not lead you astray, and we will not leave you alone to struggle with your business, because the government is making an investment in the first instance, and therefore we need to make sure your business succeeds. So come on board, and we will help you. We will walk you, and then you have Republic Bank also offering similar, not a grant. They're giving you loans and the same technical support, and support if it is that you want to go into manufacturing and you want to export your products, you're getting that level of support too. So things are happening both in the public and the private sector to push diversification. Build business, small and medium enterprises that has the potential to eventually grow into large enterprises. But it has to start somewhere. They start small, and then you grow from there. Right? That is what the government is trying to do. But nobody given credit for that. I saw they had some people's round table with this man, oh gosh, this Pastor Clive Dutton, and some other man talking nonsense about when you have party A and party B, and party A realizes that if you keep people down, then he started by saying party A, which is the PNM, realizes that if you keep people in a state of dependency, and then I don't want to say dependency, party A realizes that if you keep people down, that they would be, you would be able to use them in elections, because so long as they're dependent on you for something, they would be willing to sell this finger, the most important finger that they have, the most important asset they have, they would be willing to sell it for anything. Implying, therefore, that the PNM is deliberately starving PNM constituencies that are deemed to be crime hotspots, so that the persons in these constituencies would consistently vote for them because they will give them crumbs when election comes around. The PNM doesn't need to do that. The PNM has invested. Dr. Rowley talked about investing $100 million into these communities. And what you get for it? Flack. Instead of an applause from the critics, because they say, well, okay, finally you're doing something. You're going into these communities. Where you get $100 million figure from? Where they going to do with that money? They're going to feed the criminals. All that money, the gang leaders are salivating because they know they're going to get all of that money. Nothing positive from the critics, who always saying that the government ain't doing nothing, that the PNM do nothing, and they're not investing in their communities. And Dr. Rowley has finally said enough is enough. Affirmative action. To quote him, I will brook no opposition. Because in the past, when we've tried to do it, it has been assailed as discrimination, and the party to which I belong has taken the position so as to minimize criticism. We pull back. And who suffers? The people in the community. Why? Because somebody wants to play politics and run to the courthouse and the Equal Opportunity Commission to stifle the efforts of the government to help these same people. And if it is the UNC had not done that in the years gone by when the Manning administration was trying to do it, since between 91 to 95, come forward. Perhaps today, these fellows who find themselves in all kind of wrong stand up, right, as a result of their upbringing and the struggles of their parents. Maybe if these obstructionists didn't do what they did between 91 to 95 when Mr. Manning was trying, and then 2000 to 2010, where every time Mr. Manning tried to do something positive to help that was specifically targeting persons of African descent in these at-risk communities, that you cry discrimination and cause the government to pull back, maybe those communities today wouldn't have been hotspots. Maybe there might have been things happening because we would have reaped the fruits of what Mr. Manning was trying to do, and therefore there would have been more productive citizens, many more productive citizens. They have there, but the numbers would have been higher, and there would have been less persons available to the gang members to recruit to come and do wrong things. But we don't think about that, No, let us avoid that. When the PNM in power, crime is go up. When the UNC in power, crime is go down. Right. Why is that? Yeah, because box train contracts given out. Millions of dollars. Really? So what happened? W Mirror. 2010 to 2015, 74 murders related to box train contracts. 74. Because when they give a man 250 and the next one get a contract for 500,000, the man who get the 250 contract, he want a piece of the 500,000. And then what happens after that? Now we're hearing about the elements that came up between 2010 and 2015, who were fueled by the likes of the Doglaya, right? Now just going and taking people's homes. Then never you need to leave them. Yeah, there's we house now. And when the people go to the police, and in many instances, they told, well, yeah, well, it makes sense, because we could come and intervene, but they would just come back. And not wanting your life at risk, better you look for someplace else. Yeah, for the sake of peace. And that's the government fault. That's Heinz's fault. Because Heinz supposed to get up every morning and put on his gun belt, his Gideon boots and his khaki suit, jump on his horse, right, and ride downtown and ride all over the country and fight crime. That is Fitzgerald Heinz's responsibility as minister. When you listen to some of these idiots, that's his responsibility, is to do that. That's what he's supposed. That's how he's supposed to fight crime. As a former policeman, he need to pull out his police uniform, put on his short pants, yeah, and the hard hat, and go out there and fight crime. That's what he's supposed to do. Because if the persons who are charged and tasked with the responsibility to protect and serve are not serving in the way that we expect, that when you call the police station because your home was just burgled or vandalized or you were subject of a home invasion, you call E99 and E99 telling you they will relay the information to the police station and somebody will come and nobody comes. And then you call the station. I say, well, what? So you was planning to just sit down and wait? You know where the police station is? Okay, but and you will still have to come anyway to dust for fingerprints and all of that. So you want to come to the police station to make a report so that you could come when I make a call over the phone and you could still come and do what it is that you're supposed to do. That is the caliber of persons, unfortunately, who today are being recruited into the police service, because for them, it's our work. It's not about protecting and serving. That is not their original motive. There are lots of people going into the police service today, and their motive is because they want the power to be able to take revenge on somebody. They want to be able to, if a man disrespect me, you lock up. I can hit a man a hard slap. And if it is he responds and try to hit me back, you could catch a case. That's what some of these persons who are going into the service, not genuinely because they want to make a difference with respect to the crime situation in the country. I need a work and this government. So my money show every month, right? And then when I retire, I know I'm collecting a pension. That's what it's about. It's just to pay bills. They don't mind sitting down in the police station whole day and doing nothing. They're on their phone, Instagram, TikTok. They sit down. And when you walk into the police station to make a report, they're more vexed than you. Their face twists up. They come into this to before Kaduna playing, well, it is Candy Crush. You interrupted my game. What happened? Where you come here for? That is why a lot of people are afraid to go into police stations to make reports. The one time that I had an accident, I was very apprehensive going into the police station because more often than not, you hear people complaining when you've been the victim of a crime and you go to make a report, you come out feeling like you were the perpetrator. That is how some officers treat people. So the issue, and I saw that the Commissioner of Police was grilled yesterday. She and her executive were grilled at the Joint Select Committee on National Security, which I noticed Rudal Muninal is back on. After he was thrown off in the last session, of course, Kamala sent him back. She sent him back. So he just got a recess, and he's back there. A man who was fingered by the former Commissioner of Police as being involved with the criminal elements is now back on the National Security Joint Select Committee. But a lot of questions were asked of the commissioner. She, as I said, she was grilled. Performance wasn't so great based on the snippets that I saw. She was asked questions about bipolar. She was asked about Beyond the Tape, and is she satisfied with the quality of the program and its content? And she said no. Because there many times, the host of the show, one of the hosts, his views and the information that he gives, as was said yesterday, is at odds and at variance with what the hierarchy of the police service has articulated. In fact, the commissioner would have indicated that he is averse to some of the policies of the upper echelons of the police service. And so the program, she said, is under review. So I wouldn't be surprised if soon enough you see a new host on Beyond the Tape, or if Beyond the Tape comes to an end altogether. But that's another topic for another time. So let me just get this here. I was trying to. Right, so just again, to encourage persons, please visit if you have any sort of entrepreneurial inclination, or you know somebody who is interested in starting their own business or expanding their business. I think it has to be 18 months or less in the first instance, but I think there are other programs for persons whose businesses may be older. Please visit the website of the ministry, or you could go on Facebook and pull it up, and the link is there. You could pull up Foster Cummins' name on his profile. I think it's also shared, and I'll also ask admin to share it on the page. Click the link, fill out the application form, sign up, and you will be contacted, and we will see what could happen from there. So who knows, you may be one of the lucky 1,000, but this is not a one-time program. From what I understand, it's going to be an ongoing annual thing. So we're not stopping at 1,000 entrepreneurs, right? As the money comes in, it's going to be invested in the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, right. There was something else I wanted to touch on too before
the most influential morning.
Get this thing. Let me see this. Change this. Right. Yes. So the leader of the opposition finally decided to post her condolences to the family of Ish Galbaransing. And it was very instructive. Let me read it for those of you who may not have seen it. Mr. Galbaransing was a great friend to me and to the United National Congress. Despite suffering years of political persecution and unfair prosecution, Ish always remained steadfast in support of our great party. He will always be lovingly remembered by all of us who are fortunate to call him our friend. My love and prayers are with his family at this time. Mr. Galbaransing was a great friend to me and to the United National Congress. I want to ask Mrs. Basad Bisessa, since he was such a great friend to you and to the UNC, and notwithstanding years of political persecution and unfair prosecution, he remained steadfast in support of your great party. How did he show that support, Mrs. Basad Bisessa? And how did the party reward him, or attempt to reward him for such steadfast support, even in the face of such adversity? Is it that the only time he did not face political persecution and unfair prosecution was between 2010 to 2015, when you were the Prime Minister, and we had Section 34? Is that how you sought to repay Mr. Galbaransing et al. For such steadfast support in of your great party? And is it when Mr. Ferguson eventually passes on, whenever that is? Could be 10 years, 20 years, I don't know. If you're still around, are we to expect a similar sentiments towards him as well, Mrs. Basad Bisessa? So the claim by Jack Warner, whom you never sued, that you would have received 2 checks totaling $8 million from Mr. Galbaransing and Mr. Ferguson to facilitate Section 34. Is that true? Is that how he showed his steadfast support for your great party, Mrs. Basad Bisessa? It amazes me that after 23, 24 years thereabouts, with all the evidence that came out in respect of the Piarco Airport, with other persons who identified, foreigners who identified as being part of this enterprise, this joint enterprise, having confessed in the US, they make jail in the US, paid millions of dollars in restitution in the US, that Mrs. Basad Bisessa still has the effrontery to come and tell us that Ish Galbaransing suffered political persecution and unfair prosecution. Unfair prosecution? The same man who, when your government first came into office, At first, your Attorney General seemed ready to extradite, and then all of a sudden, things changed. We went from signing the extradition warrant to, well, they could face a fair trial and speedy trial in Trinidad. And we think that the matter would be better served if it is tried in Trinidad. And then we heard about Section 34. And then last year or so, we hear, in the face and in the wake of the state winning the civil case in the Miami court, we are told that the attorneys who were representing the state on that matter tried for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. And these are the foreign attorneys. Tried for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days to get instructions from your Attorney General and by extension your government as to how to proceed in that civil matter, and were unsuccessful. That little to no effort was made by your government to advance the conclusion of that civil matter, which could now see Trinidad and Tobago receiving some $1 billion, right? A judgment of $1 billion. We are told that based on the fact that your administration did precious little to advance that civil case, it was quite likely the matter could have been dismissed on account of the fact that the claimant seemed to have no further interest in pursuing the matter. And the claimant being the government of Trinidad and Tobago, right? So is this how you decided? Was that one of the tactics used by your government to repay Mr. Galbaran Singh for his steadfast support to a great party? I'm just asking the question. Bold-faced, bold-facedly, she had no problems. He was a great friend to me. Really, wouldn't doubt that at all. I mean, because while you were Attorney General, back in the year 2000, you didn't seem interested in pursuing the corruption cases started by Ramesh Maharaj, your predecessor. That you had a whole report which spoke to wrongdoing at the Piarco airport. When you became Attorney General, you pushed it aside. Me interested in that. You know what I'm interested in? I want to know how Ramesh hired Linquist and Carl Hudson Phillips. Was that done through tender or was it sole select? And of course, Carl had to put you in your place, write you a stinging letter, rebuke, and point out your idiocy. I just ask him, right? Unfair prosecution. The woman who's your deputy political leader testified before the Commission of Inquiry that she attended one meeting, one interministerial meeting in respect to that project. And to use her words, the greed was palpable. You could feel it. It was nasty, the words of Jolene John. Right? She went to the Prime Minister and tell him, you have a most indisciplined project there. The Prime Minister says, I'm aware. It is a feeding frenzy, a milch cow. As Pandey said that. Was that political prosecution, madam? Was that? Was that political prosecution when Mr. Pandey said that? And right thereafter, he disbanded the interministerial committee because he now had a member who was not prepared to go along with the wrongdoing that was taking place there. And then last year, when it is that we had TV6 and the Express publishing the contents of the Commission of Inquiry into the Piarco airport, which commission and which report sat down somewhere on a shelf collecting dust for the entire time that she was Prime Minister. Did nothing. But today they want to tell you about the recommendations and the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry into the Paria incident. It's just that, recommendations. But what were the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry, madam, into the Piarco airport? When you were Prime Minister, you could have dealt with those recommendations, did you? You were not interested. Because your party was fingered in it, and several players in your party were also fingered. So you were not interested in that. You weren't interested in your first incarnation, and you certainly weren't interested in the second. Unfair prosecution. Are you serious? So all them men, Gutierrez and the rest of them in the US who make jail, forfeit, pay money, paid restitution, did all of that because, right? Based on a lie. Based on a lie, because that whole Piarco Airport project scandal was just PNM propaganda. So these men, as I said, paid money, made jail, pled guilty to PNM propaganda because they so loved the PNM. Right? So they were guilty. The only people who weren't guilty was Ish and Steve. They just got caught up in the thing. They were collateral damage. And this woman telling you, put her back as prime minister. Put her back as prime minister. And she continues to deny the reality of one of the biggest scandals, biggest acts of corruption, according to Bob Lindquist, ever perpetrated on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago by its government. The words of Bob Lindquist. He, the same Bob Lindquist, who was tasked with the responsibility for investigating O'Halloran and was instrumental in helping the government to get back money from O'Halloran. He, Bob Lindquist, told us that Piarco Airport scandal was worse than O'Halloran. That's what he said. Worse than. Not his exact words, but that is, the gist of what he said. Right? The biggest act of corruption ever perpetrated on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago by his government. And last year, when information started to come out from the Commission of Inquiry, and she couldn't deny it, you come on a platform to say, well, don't put that on me. Mr. Pandey is not a part of this UNC. Mr. Pandey is no longer a part of the UNC today. So blame he. Don't blame me. It's not my administration. That happened under. It happened under Pandey. So don't try to nail that to my chest. Nail it to Pandey's chest. But today you're still coming to talk unfair prosecution. Look, Lady Roxo, Roxo. But there are plenty of at least 309,000 of you all out there who still inclined to put her back. Go ahead. In the interest of time, it is now 7:13. Let me give my 2 cents on Mr. Ishmael. Let me see, before I go there, let me see what he posted. Has he posted anything recently? I don't know how many of you last night looked at Breaking Barriers. It's the first time I've looked at Breaking Barriers in years. And I did so only because I wanted to, because he posted on his Facebook page that he and his attorney would be addressing or dealing with the issue of the judgment. And I wanted to hear their comments. In particular, having read most of the judgment, I wanted to see if they would have referenced certain aspects of the judgment that spoke to Inchan Ishmael. Because while the focus, all the lives that he has done since this judgment came out has been focused on Crow and what the court said about Crow. Interestingly, neither he nor any of his agents or any of the mouthpieces who support him have spoken to the parts of the judgment that were critical of Mr. Ishmael. In fact, it seems that the only thing that the court did not agree with Mr. Ishmael with respect to his claims of that Mr. Rollins, Crow's lyrics were racial towards him. Right? I see he posted. But if you listen, for those of you who would have looked at or took the time out to look at Breaking Barriers last night, he seemed a bit subdued in Inchan Ishmael. Because while he has been rejoicing in the outcome of his case, from what I understand, he have 22 other matters, 22 other lawsuits that he's dealing with, three or four of which just happened to coincide this week. So this issue with Crow is just one of several. But he seems to want to put prominence on this one, right? That when I listened to him last night, the backlash that he has been getting from the judgment, he realized, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Because one of the claims he made to the court in this matter involving Crow is that after Crow sang the song, it affected his business negatively, that sales dropped after Crow sang that song. Right? I would have, if I were the court, and in reading the judgment, I'm not seeing, as I said, I haven't read the entire thing, but a lot of it. I haven't seen anywhere where the court would have invited Mr. Ishmael to prove that his sales declined as a result of Crow's song. You come and make that representation. You have any evidence to show of that? Could we see what your sales were before the song and what your sales were after the song? To prove what you are saying, that sales dropped because of the song, that people were boycotting. You see, sometimes it pays to, some people say, no time at tea, forget TV. No. You need to be trolling these people's page. And by trolling, I don't necessarily mean that you need to go and put derogatory comments on anything. Just look and see what it is he posts. So last night, he made the point, and look how these people contradict themselves. Last night, he was making the point. He said, every time I find myself in one of these situations, they're always saying, boycott, boycott, boycott. Boycotty business, boycotty business. And he said, the more that they call for boycott is the more business I get. But you went to the court and tell the court that after Krokro sang his song, your business sales started to drop. Your business suffered as a result of Krokro's song. Because Krokro's song caused people to say boycott, boycott, boycott. But last night you come on your television program to say that every time a situation like this happens and people say boycott Inchan and boycotty business, your business actually flourishes. You get more business when people say boycott than otherwise. So you're going and open a barber shop and you're going and call it boycott. And you only want boycott and you don't want to go cut because you're trying to be funny. Obviously, you're a clown, but you're not funny. So you contradicted yourself on your own program. Contrary to what you went and tell the court, that Krokro song caused you to lose business. Last night you come in your program to say that every time things like this happen and they say boycotty business, you make more money. So bring on the boycott because you see, so you could get an uptick in business. I wonder if Frank C. Prasad heard that last night. I wonder, Frank, since you decided to make an award. Now, I'm not going to be critical because, to be fair, I mean, some parts of the judgment not really, it's all over the place. It's all over the place. But I just asking the question, Frank, you heard that? Was your judgment of $250,000 against Krokro tied to Mr. Ishmael's claim that his business would have suffered negatively because of Krokro's song and the words, because people who felt that you were racist decided they're going to boycott? So was he lying in the court or was he lying last night? Because the two positions are completely divergent. Completely divergent. You tell the court one thing, but then you come last night on your program and boasting about something else. To me, that would have been grounds for appeal. If I was Krokro attorney, I would have screen grabbed that. Well, anyway, he posted up the show, the link to the show. I would have caught that. And in the appeal, well, if you're coming back in the court of appeal with the same argument to say that your business suffered, well, Your Honor, I have a video clip here of Mr. Ishmael speaking after the judgment in which what he said contradicts this claim. Because he says on his program that he made more money as a result of, but he come in the court to tell all he lost business. All right. But the court had to operate how they had to operate, I don't know. Moving right along. So there were certain parts of the judgment. Let me get this here. Forgive me, but I didn't know. I'd have to go back and review to play it for you all to hear him see that. Right? But I saw when I have time, I'll probably do it and maybe play it for you all Sunday so you could hear him say what I just told you, right? Okay. So that's when you don't think. The liar has no memory. So the gist of the judgment, and it seems that the award that of the $250,000 was for the reason or the words that Krokro uttered where he made the claim that is we who does buy your stolen car parts from the bamboo. And so the judge would have made an award there where he said that that was libelous because Krokro could offer no proof that Inchan Ishmael was a car thief or that he sold stolen car parts. And it was because of that. So the claim that he made, I should have written this down. Just right. So let me start with this. The part that he wouldn't tell you. The part that he wouldn't tell you. So this is bullet point 91 in the judgment. The claimant made the comments on 23rd November 2022, and that's right. Guided by the dicta of the Court of Appeal in Gabriel Supra, the court noted that the evidence established that the calypso was written and performed by the first defendant, who is Krokro, as a response to comments which the claimant, Inchan Ishmael, made after a young black man from the Bitam qualified as a lawyer. The claimant made the comments on the 23rd of November 2022, and he said, everybody was celebrating that an attorney come out of the beat-up. So what? Whose fault is it that another one didn't come out? Whose fault is it? Mine? All you're protecting the criminals day. When people pass in with their van and their car, all you're pelting them with stone. When man thief car and they come in there and all you're protecting them, don't boast. You have a seer man from Bamboo. You have an attorney from Bamboo. Bamboo have about a dozen or more attorneys that come out of here. Top notch. We had literally dozens of doctors. Why a community should boast when it should have been the norm? Those were the claimant's comments. This is the judge's view on this. The claimant's comments, that is Incha comments, were ill-timed, offensive, and inappropriate. Achievement, whether or whenever and wherever it occurs, must be celebrated and should not be dismissed, denigrated or dampened by unwarranted critique or negativity. The claimant, Incha Ishmael, is a public figure who enjoys a commanding social media presence. He has a recognized voice and he should use it responsibly and constructively. Bridges between divergent groups and diverse communities should be built, not broken. And when any citizen uses language which is derogatory and or divisive, they should be called out. As a result, the court must consider whether the impugned portions of the Calypso can be viewed as fair commentary. The judgment goes on to say, in its determination as to whether the impugned words ought to be classified as fair comment, the court should balance the public interest in promoting the fundamental right to free speech, evaluate matters in the public domain, and at the same time recognize the need to protect an individual's character and reputation from unwarranted attacks. And the first aspect of the claimant's complaint, that is Incha Ishmael's complaint, relates to the words, total disrespect. The boy bright, so Imchan going for his neck, with all hands on deck, pure racism spewing through Imchan's brain. He asserts that these words indicate that he is a racist and lowered his reputation in the eyes of members of the public. So Imchan telling the court, you see those words that Coco said there, it implied that I am a racist. And therefore members of the public, in the eyes of the public, I'm a racist and therefore that has lowered my reputation. The court then goes on to say, in this republic, there exists an alarming degree of discord among the many varied races. Unregulated, irresponsible social media use coupled with political posturing and polarization have heightened the divisiveness. East Indians are pitted against Africans, and the acerbic us against them rhetoric dominates the radio waves, online posts, and commentaries. Against the backdrop, it is understandable that the claimant's widely circulated comments, that is Incha Ishmael's comments, incensed persons who were justifiably proud of the young lawyer's achievements. It is also likely that some persons may have perceived that the claimant's comments were racist, or that he was spewing a racist agenda, and or that he was attacking the residents of Beetham and or persons of African heritage. The impugned words in the Calypso are not statements of fact, but are expressions of opinion which were fashioned by the temerity, tone, and tenor of claimant's comments. He wouldn't talk about that part, right? Where he got a stinging rebuke from the court for the things he said about Kareem Marcel. The first defendant was well within his remit to address and advocate his views about the claimant's comments, and the impugned words in relation to this aspect of the claim are covered by the concept of fair comment. In these circumstances, this court holds the view that there is no merit in this aspect of the claim. In other words, so where Ishmael come to say that Coco was racist in his thing, the court said, that ain't flying here. You cause your own bacchanal, right? You caused Coco to write the song because of what you went on your television program and said about Kareem Marcel and the things that you said about Beetham. And Coco was simply, put in words, the expressions of persons from Beetham and around the country who were incensed by your divisive comments and what you said. So in other words, court is saying, you see what you say there? What you went to the program and you was proud to say, and this attorney, this upstart, Richard Jagasa, who was egging you on to say these things, right? It was highly irresponsible of you to say. And you were responsible for causing all of this bacchanal, essentially, but he wouldn't talk about that. But he prays in the judgment, and then after the judgment, he go on by his brother to celebrate and so on, and he defending his name and the name that his father gave to him. And that is all that he guards that name jealously and so on. Listen to the disrespect of this man. So first off, to upset Krokro and to add insult to injury. Now, we had put up, and it's on the debunking page, Krokro's banking details, his account number to which you can make a contribution to assist him in paying Ishmael, right, if you are so inclined. Mr. Ishmael, so somebody, he put out a post, and somebody screenshot our post and put it in the comments, because somebody was saying that the PNM should help him, and that all them sycophants who are supporting him, let them pay now. And somebody screenshot our post and put it in the chat saying they do it already. This man decides to go and donate $100 to Krokro, to Krokro's fund. I'll pull it up here to tell you how petty he is. Let me get it here. Where is it? Yes. So he puts a screenshot of the $100 that he put to Krokro's account, and then the caption is, "All you can say are bad mine. I did my part. Donation made." And then he spoke about it last night too on his program. So he beat in his chest. Well, look, you made 250,000, but I gave him 100,000. I gave him $100, sorry. But you'll get it back. So the 100 they give him, he will give it back. So you won't really make no donation, because it's himself to himself. You give it to Krokro and he's giving it back to you. But you want to say you make a donation. All right. But then he goes on to say, let me get this here. This disrespectful tone. Yesterday he puts out another post. Poll: which radio station, frequency, and some of its hosts do you believe promote racist broadcasts? He come back with that racism chupid talk again. He didn't learn from the judgment. All right? Okay, he didn't learn. There's something else. Right. Where is it? Let's see if I get it here. Where is it? Right. This is another post. Listen to how disrespectful this man is. I am being sent a lot of screenshots with disgusting comments by PNM sycophants, and he puts that in capital, regarding my victory at court yesterday. I can, however, understand the confusion you see. You see, I actually know who my father is. Thereby, I know whose name to protect. Now kindly wind to the left. I can, however, understand the confusion you see. I actually know who my father is. You could be more disrespectful than this man. So we're trying to imply that PNM supporters, PNM members, we don't know who our fathers are. Really? In Ishmael? Well, let me ask you a question. You say you know who your father is. How you know that? Other than mommy tell you. How you know that? Because there are plenty of people out there who mommy tell them that is your father and that ain't their father. So other than mommy tell you, Inchan, that is your father. How else you know? You did a paternity test? You hold up a picture and you find you looking like daddy? Otherwise, say that part. I just say it. So look, anyway, let me not go down your road. Let me not go down that road with you. Right? But you see, when you come with that level of disrespect, and they need to understand something. The PNM is not Keith Rowley. The PNM is not Coleman Booth. The PNM is not Fitzgerald Hines and Faris Al-Rawi. Right? The PNM is hundreds of thousands of citizens who support the party. And when you try to label the PNM sycophants and all kind of thing, understand it is everybody who supports the PNM, whether they hold a membership card or not, that you're disrespected. And when you could come with your low-life self to talk about, well, at least you know who your father is. You see, and this is the kind of nasty commentary that comes from this man that evokes the kind of responses that Krokro did in that song. That is what causes that. When with gay abandon and no regard, you come and you post nastiness like this, disrespecting hundreds of thousands of people. That is what is going to cause people like Krokro to do what they need to do, to put you in your blasted place. You're disrespectful. Very disrespectful. And what is worse, you want to accuse Krokro of being divisive with his calypso. But when he puts out posts like this, you know what ensues? When you go into the comments, is a certain nasty comments. A lot of times, racial comments in response to his post. And he puts out some of these posts deliberately. And when it is that the nasty comments appear, he wouldn't block it, delete it. And I know he reads the comments because when you go through it from time to time, you will see he engages persons in the comments, but only people who disagree with his post or who are critical of his posts. But the rest of it, those that are in support and those that are nasty and divisive, he just allows it to flow. Sometimes hundreds of comments. And then you wonder why. So Krokro didn't need to sing a song for persons to think that you are a racist. That is a view that has long been held. When it is that during COVID, you were helping people, right? Giving out hampers, great, wonderful, commendable. But when it is that you had to film it, do a live, and walk the line so people could see how much Africans stand up in the line. Look, all them Africans from the PNM constituencies who come down to Baraka grounds to beg. They come to get. And when it is that you have one or two miscreants who trying to get more than one hamper, you had to put them up. You see, it's the greed and whatnot and the dishonesty and all of that. But who did you focus on? That when it is from time to time, every time you're accused of being a racist, the only defense you could come with is to post up on your Facebook page how much African you help over the years and all the different instances in which you help these Africans. That is what he does. And I pointed it out to him. And a post somebody else had put, praising him in light of that issue with Kareem, right? Praising him for how he has helped the communities and he helping the Africans and giving them the help that the PNM not giving them. And I had to point out, they're giving help, but at the same time, taking census of how many Africans they're helping. So that what you could regurgitate it later and pat yourself on the back. And you're a Muslim? Where is your humility? You wouldn't even allow the people dignity. Come, all of Trinidad, come and see. Watch them. Watch how they line up, come to beg for hamper. There is no need for you to record that. Allow the people the dignity. Because for some of them, it would have been difficult for them to bring themselves there, to stand up in the hot sun for help. You don't need to record it for all the world to see that, oh, look, Inshan giving charity. So last night, when he opened the lines, one after the other, they call in and they tell me, Inshan, you're doing such a great job. And you just always help people. And you just do so much to help people. And you like that. Boost your ego. Self-aggrandizement. Bring on the praise, yes. Bring on the praise. But you would never hear him talk about how many East Indian persons he helped. Because you have to maintain the facade that it's only African persons in this country suffering and doing poorly. But on the two occasions where he decided to publicly highlight the East Indian persons that he helped, look how it turned out. One, there was a newspaper article, a picture in one of the dailies of a man riding a bicycle through floodwaters, taking his son to school. And when you look at the bike, it had no brakes, pedals missing, but the man pushing the son on the bike. So originally, the intent of posting that picture was to show the hardships people going through in this country under Keith Rowley and the PNM. But then he decided, as he zoomed in on the picture and he noticed the bike was in a state, he decided he wanted to help the guy. So in his program, he says, well, we've taken donations so that we could put up money to buy a bike to help a new bicycle for the man. And then people called in and said, Shania, good thing. And he was able on that night to raise enough money. So he says, if anybody knows this guy, send me his number. And somebody sent him the number while he was on it. And he calls the guy on it. Tell him, hey, this is Entrepreneurship from Breaking Barriers. We were looking at the picture. We saw the picture in the papers and whatnot. And your bike needs some help. And we just raised enough money. We want to buy a new bike for you. And we want to come down and bring the bike for you. And the guy said, yeah, no problem. I'll come through, man. I'll get some cascadura and all kind of thing. And we'll make a cook. And yeah, all right, we coming now. Went to Carrick to drop off the bike for the man. And saw the conditions that the man was living in. A one-room shack, dirt floor. The man had about 3 children. The place was really in a terrible state. It was horrible. But you wouldn't believe that members of the East Indian community live like that. Because if you listen to people like Ishmael and others, there's only African people eating grass and suffering. Everybody else doing well. Yeah? But the place was in a terrible state. It was horrible. So he decides he's going to raise money to build the people a proper home. Applaud you for that. Great. So he decides he's going to build a 3-bedroom concrete house, indoor plumbing, everything. He works. He went and he got people to donate appliances, stove, fridge, and everything for the people. Great. Construction going along, and the people expecting, they're anticipating because they're excited. They're seeing things going up. But I don't know. Apparently, one day, the workers went down there to do things, and there was some altercation between the man, wife, and the workers over some issue. I can't remember what it was. And then she decided to text or to send a WhatsApp message to Ishmael complaining about whoever. And he found that she was disrespectful in the message that she sent and that she was ungrateful. So he decides, as usual, rather than to deal with that in a private way, to come on his Facebook page and give a screenshot of the WhatsApp conversation between himself and the woman to show how she ungrateful and to talk about it and breaking barriers and so on. Right? I don't know if it is he completed the job because I think based on that incident involving the man's wife and the workers, the contractors say they ain't going back and whatever it is. And I don't know if the job was complete or what. But that was issue number one. The second one was more recent. There was a guy who was on CNC3 talking about how he needed assistance to pay for some liver surgery. He had some illness, some issue with his liver, and he needed a transplant or something like that. And he was pleading for help. And so once again, Captain Hero decided he needed to get involved and he could fix this. So he used his platform and his influence to be able to get donations, significant amount of money, over $200 and something thousand, I believe. And he gave it to the guy. Turns out the guy was a fraudster. He had no issues with his liver, right? He used the money was transferred to his bank account, and then Ishmael said, every time they call him is a different story. He tell them that the wife went and took out a whole set of money from the account, and this is money that was supposed to pay for his surgery. And the wife take out how much money and go on with it, and she leave him and all kind of thing. And the next thing you hear is because the man's house being repaired and start some business and all of that. So Ishmael finding out now what really went on, that he was duped, and the wider public, because persons donated money to the guy based on the CNC3 story. He put out a post on Facebook saying that he has given the guy a certain period of time by the end of the day or by Wednesday to return all the money, because there are persons who genuinely in need, who need surgery, have young children and so on, who need the money and whatnot. But once that bacchanal happened, right? So basically the guy was a fake, a fraudster. And he had to be damn brave to do something like that. But hundreds of thousands of dollars was raised for it. And of course, it was an opportunity for my boy to pat himself on the shoulder. Right? And for the second time, he had to come and talk about ingratitude and whatnot and all of these different things. You see, that could have been avoided. That matter should have been handled privately. When you put up the guy, okay, maybe that instance is okay because he's a clear fraudster and people need to know. So you expose him. But then again, you sort of make an issue of it. Look how much money we raise, and I love to boast. I could raise X amount of money in 1 hour because his following is 200,000 people on Facebook. Right? We have over 200,000 followers on Facebook. Well, let me come to that issue. Let's see. Right. Well, I want to publicly thank him for promoting the PNM Red Fete. Because I see he put up another post yesterday with three tickets to the PNM Red Fete, but with the caption, with 4,000 murders, red seems to be the appropriate color. Charge all your phone because we know for sure it's going to have some high-level drama there. Inflation, crime, corruption, don't worry. Somebody please let Ishmael know that this is not the first time the PNM has hosted the Red Fete, and there has never been any high-level drama, other than people having a good time. And since you have 3 tickets, give it away, please. Don't come. Please. So, I listened to him last night talking about, that this judgment, it wasn't about the money. And it's a victory for the people and the citizens of this country, because for too long, these politicians have been allowed to sing, not politicians, sorry, these Calypsonians have been allowed to sing this type of song and get away with it and malign people. And when he did his live, he said, he dedicates this victory to his father and to people like Sat Maharaj and whose name they call up, and Basdeo Pandey, all of the people whose names these Calypsonians used to call up in the most derogatory way and so on, that this victory was for all of them. But when Sat Maharaj called Patrick Manning a racist without any one shred of evidence. In the wake of Mr. Manning's death, total disrespect, claimed that Mr. Manning was a racist and had the nastiest of things to say, but you dedicate your victory to he. This man who talked about while East Indian children was beaten book, African children was beaten pan. But today, the winners of the junior panorama, right, is who? Right, is who? They didn't even talk about that. But he dedicated his victory to people like Satmaraj. To me, that speaks volumes. But when Krokro say, the name of the song is another Satmaraj out there, you take issue with that. Because, hey, he's implying that you're a racist. But then, as soon as you win, you do a lie to say you're dedicating your win to people like Satmaraj. You say, man, Krokro say, as another Satmaraj, he likened you to Sat. And you took offense to that. But then do a lie to say, look, I'm dedicating this victory to Sat and Pandey and the rest of them. But you took Krokro to court for saying that you're another Satmaraj. So clearly you have some level of adoration for Sat. But you had issue with Krokro likening you. You see, the amount of times this man has shot himself in the foot since his judgment come out. Right now, both legs gone. Right? He reached up to his waist. And as he continues to speak on this, eventually his whole torso might go too. Because he continues to feed, and I encourage him to continue. You know. I don't know if it is Krokro is going to appeal this matter, but I would hope that his attorneys are looking on at the things that this man is saying, both on Facebook and on his television program, that could nail him to the cross if this matter is appealed. He goes further, right? Boston last night, he had 200,000. I want to ask Wale something. I'm going based on this judgment, right? What song Krokro sang this year? Krokro have a song? What's the name of the song? What is the song about? I bet the majority of you listening can't answer that. You know why? Because the song he sang this year have no controversy. It have no bacchanal. So persons are not motivated to go and look to see what song Krokro sing this year. Nobody ain't going on YouTube to say, well, let me see Krokro's song. You know, again, and last year, the same thing would have happened. But for the fact that somebody sent a clip of Krokro's song to Inchan Ishmael, and he took issue with it, and he decided to publish that. If Inchan Ishmael didn't make a whole issue about the song, he could have still pursued his legal avenues. You know, you felt aggrieved. You felt that this song was libelous. It was scandalous, as the case may be. It was defamatory. You could have do it quietly. Quietly. Yeah. Somebody sent it to you. Okay, you listen to it. You feel, might have something here. You send it to your attorney, Richard Jagasa, and say, Richard, listen to this song and tell me if we have a case. Jagasa say, yes, we have a case. All right, no problem. Send him the pre-action protocol letter. And you could have dealt with that below the surface and nobody needed to know. But as is the norm, yes, I need to go public with this. So every day you're on the Facebook page, then you're going and sue Krokro, and you will teach Krokro a lesson and all kind of thing. That is what drew attention to Krokro's song. That is what generated interest in people wanting to hear, well, what Krokro say, that have Inchan Ishmael fly in his wig. I want to hear the song. It wasn't because the song was so great. Because the only place you would have heard the song before would have been in the tent. And based on what they said and the evidence given in during the trial, is that persons are no longer inclined to go to the tents to listen to some of these calypsonians because the lyrics is offensive. And so it's not just persons of East Indian descent who are no longer going to the tent. It's generally. In fact, part of the evidence given by, I think, one of the expert witnesses that was called by the defense, by Krokro and his team, was that persons that the attendance at these tents is very scanty. Right? Very few people are going to the tents anymore. And the claim was being made is because persons are turned off by these offensive songs, so they don't want to hear it. Well, if that is the case, if you're telling me that persons don't want to hear the song, that's why they're not going to the tents. It stands to reason that they don't want to hear the song anyway or anywhere. So if I'm not going to the tent to listen to the song, why the hell would I go and look for it on YouTube or on Facebook or anywhere else? I don't want to hear it. So the people who they claim don't go to the tents because they're not interested in that kind of songs. were only inclined to go and listen to it and hear it because Insha and Ishmael made an issue. Insha and Ishmael did more to promote Krokro's song than Krokro ever could. Because in the same way as I asked you all just now, what song Krokro sing this year? What is the song about? And I saw the majority of you all can't tell me what song Krokro sing. Because it had no controversy this year with his song. He is the manager of the Icons Calypso 10. So I'm sure he have a song. I haven't heard it. And Carnival almost done. Right? But if it was a controversial song against Ishmael in response to the lawsuit, I bet you it would have been all over the place. Even after the judgment, he continues to draw attention to the song by constantly saying things and posting things that is generating public comment. So now the issue of this judgment is all over the place. Again, the court sent you the judgment. Hush your mouth. That was long forgotten. People forget that that matter was taking place. Nobody knew that the judgment was coming this week. But he made a point of it to go on his Facebook page and post up. Insha and Ishmael versus Krokro, judgment Tuesday or Monday morning, whatever, 10:30, stay tuned. So your 200,000 followers were alerted, hey, judgment coming on this week. Krokro is the other party to this matter, right? The media called Krokro to ask for comment. And the only comment they got from Krokro was, do you have a manager check, allegedly, to assist me to pay? Do not call my so-and-so phone. And a text. Krokro done. Krokro not going on Facebook to talk about the case. Krokro not going on every radio station to do interviews to talk about the case, to draw public opinion, to draw public attention. It is this man, Insha and Ishmael. You could have gotten your judgment, hush your mouth. The court said, tell Krokro pay you 250,000, okay. Victory, you could have celebrated your victory quietly, and this matter would have been out of the public domain. But because, as is the norm, just as last year, he sought to make this a public thing, the media latched onto it and it became a front page story. So it's back on the front burner now. Everybody talking about it on all these radio talk shows and so on. So it's an issue. In fact, I was listening to I-95 a couple of days ago, and it was being spoken of, the judgment, in the 10 to 12 morning talk show. And persons were still calling and asking the host, you have the song, you could play it? I didn't hear it. So still there are people who have not heard the song. But interest, for the last year or so, they didn't have any interest in hearing the song. Persons who were not in the know, right? A couple of people called in to ask to hear the song because they haven't heard it yet. So now there is renewed interest in hearing the song. But further to that, and these are the things, and you see, and I say this is why it is important. Now, I am no lawyer. There was a time when I wanted to be, but then I ended up in finance, and that the rest is history. But if I was an attorney, one of the things that they should have highlighted at the trial is the contribution that Insha and Ishmael made in making that song popular. So that when he claimed that he felt aggrieved and that the song maligned him, it defamed him, that it was libelous, but you were doing things to draw attention to the song, to draw public attention, for people to go and look for the song to hear what in the song is so offensive. Had he not done that, that song would never have caught on and would not have spread like wildfire, like it did. It was his actions. So the court should have taken that into consideration, whether it is that you would have dismissed the matter or at least reduced the award that was the fine, the $250,000, based on Insha and Ishmael's contribution to causing that song. So you vex. What this song thing it is lowering what he said, it lowered his reputation in the eyes of the general public, and people saw him as a racist and as a car thief and selling stolen parts. But while the court would have admonished Krokro, stating that because Krokro did not record the song. So if you go on YouTube, if it is still there, the only recording you will hear of that song or see is the video clip the recording that somebody did in the tent. But it is not like Krokro don't record his songs like you would normally see others do. So you would go, even if you don't see a live performance, you would see some kind of cartoon version of it and you would hear the words. So the only public record there is of that song is based on what the person videotaped, recorded, and put out there. Right? So when the court says, the court says that because Krokro admitted he saw people recording the song while he was performing it. But the court is saying, well, you didn't do anything to stop them from recording it. There was no explicit warning at the beginning of the show telling people to record. And therefore, you must have known that the person recording it that it would be spread. How could Crocker know that? If somebody recording something, I don't know who they're going and share it with. Maybe the person like the song and they're saving it for themselves because they know I don't record songs and they love it so much and they want to hear it again, so they record it. How could the court expect Crocker to assume, to make an assumption that the person is going to share the song? Because so I had an issue with that, right? Because you are asking the man to make a decision based on an assumption that may or may not be true. But in any event, I am certain that whoever recorded the song don't have so many followers that the song would have had the kind of attention that it got as a result of Inchan Ishmael. So again, I make the point. Inchan Ishmael did more to promote Crocro's song than Crocro ever would have done. And the court should have taken that into consideration. Because even after he filed the injunction and he was successful, he come on social media, come on Facebook to tell people that the injunction was, they were successful with the injunction, and therefore Crocro is banned from singing the song, and he and his agents are also banned from further publication of the song, and anybody who shares the song would also fall part of that injunction, and they could be sued or right. That further incensed people, because people seeing that now, and then not only did he go on social media, he was making the rounds, doing interviews on radio stations, I-95 and whatnot, and where else. Again, drawing attention to the whole bacchanal. And when people hear him saying that the injunction means that nobody could share the song, you get people vexed, people saying, but it's my Facebook page. Who the hell is Inchan Ishmael to tell me what I could share and not share on my page? But I go in and share it, let him do me something. So he created an environment that incensed people to the point where they wanted to teach him a lesson. That you can't tell me what I could share and not share on my own damn Facebook page. You're fast and out of place. So all of these little things contributed to the song being shared and more people seeing it and hearing the lyrics. But you're telling me you're offended because Crocro's lyrics would have lowered your reputation in the eyes of the public. But you doing everything you could on a daily basis to ensure that more and more people listen to the song. If you had hushed your mouth, that song would not spread like that. Further to that, after he got the injunction, right, and making this claim, telling people if you share the song and all kind of thing, and getting people upset. There was a police officer who did a live, sitting in his car, did a live on the issue, right, and shared his views on the matter. And he was critical of Inchan Ishmael. And the police officer indicated in the live that the link to the song was on his Facebook page. So if you're interested in hearing the song, you could have go on his page and you would see the link there and you could listen to it, right? This idiot who claims that he was so offended by the libelous and scandalous lyrics of Crocro decides to put up a post on his Facebook page with a clip of the policeman talking about the song, talking about the situation between Crocro and himself, Inchan Ishmael, and making the point that the link is on his Facebook page. You're offended. You're telling people they can't share the song or anything, but you want to make an example to talk about how you see, look at the police, and the police, look how this is an example of a special kind of dotage and all kind of thing, and how he going and sue the police officer, and he too will receive a pre-action protocol letter and all of that. Now, when you did that, this policeman is obscure. Because I was drawn to that based on him posting that on his Facebook page. So I decided to go on the policeman's Facebook page to listen to the rest of the live. And I listened to it, and then I saw the link to the song on the man's Facebook page, as he said. But if Inchan Ishmael didn't post up that on his Facebook page, I would not have been aware. Because I didn't see, otherwise that I didn't see this live that the policeman did. I have no links to him, he's not my friend or anything like that. And it wasn't like this live was viral. But after Inchan Ishmael posted that on his Facebook page for his 200,000 plus followers that he says, to see it, on the first day when I saw it, when he posted it, and I looked at it, the policeman's live had 150 views. Went back later, about 2 days later, thousands of views on that. So he drew attention. He drove traffic to the policeman's Facebook page to listen to the live. He drove traffic to the policeman's Facebook page so that people who didn't hear the song and who couldn't find a link to the song now knew where they could find a link to hear the song. But you upset, and Crocro slander you, and it was libelous, and you want people to stop sharing the song, but you driving social media traffic to places where the song could be heard, to places where persons, as you say, attacking you, further adding to the controversy. So you just looking for ways to pour fuel on the fire. Yeah, find the fire going down. Let me look through Facebook and see where I could find. Hey, look, somebody here. Let me make an example. Hey, bring the gas there, boy. Let me show you there. Light the fire. But he vexed. He's so upset. His reputation. Pull up this judgment again, right? But there was something else in the judgment that got me very upset. Let me get it here. Where is it? Right. Paragraph 108 of the judgment. 107. Yes. Let me get it. 106. The first defendant's calypso, that's Crow, is not humorous, and there is no obvious parody. Consequently, the court holds that it cannot be classified as satire. The claimant has complained about the following words. This is in Ishmael. And this is the words of the song that offended him. So after that, Imchan, what the hell wrong with you? Is we does buy your stolen car parts in the bamboo. Given the context and tenor of the calypso, it is plausible to conclude that the word "ye" referred to the claimant, and he actually sells car parts. And the plain and obvious meaning of the words performed by the first defendant, Crow, is that the claimant sells stolen car parts. No evidence has been adduced to establish that the claimant has been convicted or charged with the offenses of the car theft, receiving or being in unlawful possession of stolen car parts. Consequently, the defendant's inclusion of these words amounted to an unjustified, irresponsible, and reckless attack on the claimant's integrity and reputation. Right? And that is what the award was for. So, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Constance, I think, was called as an expert witness by the defense. Where is it? Something else. Right, this is what I was looking for. Right. So, the claim that, and this is what Ishmael says, right? Persons no longer go to the tents because of the offensive lyrics of some of these calypsonians, the like of Crow, Aloes, Once Upon a Time, Watchman, these guys. And hence the reason that is responsible for the low attendance that you see now in the tents. I would challenge that. Because if you're telling me people don't want to hear those lyrics, they find it offensive and that's why they're not going to the tents, then explain to me why Saturday coming, you're going to see a massive crowd in Skinner Park. Where those people coming from? What lyrics they coming to hear? Not the same lyrics, not the same songs that they don't want to hear in the tents, because everybody who performing at Skinner Park on Saturday would have come out of a tent. That is where they would have performed for the judges to be able to make it to Skinner Park. So you're telling me people don't want to listen to these lyrics. They find it offensive, so they're not going to the tent, but they go into Skinner Park in droves, where they could hear all these songs in one space. So instead of them going to 3, 4, 5 different tents to hear these calypsos, they could come in one space on Saturday, pay one money, and listen and hear all the calypsos, the top calypsos, as per the opinion of the judges. Right? But you're telling me they want to go to, that is why they're not going to the, no, it is because they have a number of competing options with respect to, remember, when people get paid early in December, if you're working paycheck to paycheck, or even if you have a salary job and you get paid early in December, a lot of that money is spent on Christmas activities. And if your savings is not top, this money had to last you for Christmas, it had to last you for Carnival, until the 90th day of January, as they say. Because it seems payday, it takes like 90 days, so some people tell you it seems like it's 90 days to pay in January. Because you don't get paid early in January. Most people don't. So If it is that this money had to last me from the, let's say, the 15th or the 19th of December all the way to the 86th of January, and you have a short carnival season, and people need to stretch their money, and they want to go to every fete it have. Some people go into fete three on a stretch. I went to my barbershop the other day, and a guy even complaining, boy, I'm tired, was fete after fete. He went to CIC fete, and then he went to, after he left CIC fete, he went to some breakfast party, and then next thing, so it's just constant. So people aren't going to, they want to jump and wave and misbehave. So they're not going to spend their money to go to 3-4 different tents when they want is limited funds to go to all of these different events. When they could go to one show in Skinner Park and hear most of the calypsos, right? And hope that the ones that they want, that they didn't hear, that it somehow there may be a recording somewhere that they could see it. But according to these experts, it is because people don't want to hear the lyrics. Well, if that were true, Skinner Park would be bare on Saturday. But I put it to you, it will not be. You will see a significant crowd of persons in Skinner Park, as is the norm. As is the norm, come Saturday, right? But in the interest of time, I just wanted to raise one other thing, right? The court, in these circumstances, the court holds the view that the words "is weed as buy your stolen car parts in the bamboo" are defamatory. These words, by their natural and ordinary meaning, convey that the claimant is or has been involved in criminal activity and that he was and or is a thief. Notwithstanding the court's conclusion that the claimant's complaint in relation to the calypso is founded in libel, in the event that this finding as a matter of law is incorrect, the court holds the view that the required elements to establish slander have also been made out. The court had the benefit of seeing and hearing the claimant, and for the reasons outlined later in this judgment, the claimant has satisfied the court that as a result of the first defendant's defamatory statement, he suffered financial loss as well as damage to his reputation. Again, what proof did Inshan Ishmael provide to show that he suffered financial loss? Inshan Ishmael in 2021 posted on Facebook that he was closing down his car parts business because he was unable to get foreign exchange to bring in parts. And he had a closing down sale. And I do think, and after the sale, right, these are the tactics that he used. He had a closing down sale, but the business never closed down. Because I think ROC is still in operation, right? So it had nothing to do with it. But there was something that he said. So let me just get that again. He claims that he suffered financial loss as well as damage to his reputation. But last night he sang a different song. He didn't suffer financial loss. In fact, the Bacchanal caused him to make money. That when people was calling for boycott, because he said right now, as a result of the judgment, people saying boycott Inshan, boycott Inshan. And the more they call for boycott, is the more business I get and the more people come. I hope Keith Scotland and they take note of that for the purpose of any appeal. Ask him to explain that under cross-examination. You came and you told the court before, and the court found, based on what I just read here, that the court is satisfied that the claimant was able to make a case that as a result of Crocro's defamatory statement, he, Inshan Ishmael, suffered financial loss as well as damage to his reputation. Let me get this here. Where was it? Let's see. Talk about the interview with Aisha Wells. So. Let me watch that, folks. Let me just find this thing here. Right, so here what he says. In relation to the impact which the defamatory words had upon the claimant, that is Inshan Ishmael, he outlined that paragraphs 19, 25, 27, and 38 of his witness statement as follows. All of the businesses immediately took a nosedive. All of his businesses immediately took a nosedive. And my community events had fewer people. I also noticed I was asked to attend fewer community events and make fewer appearances at religious gatherings. For example, I would usually lead prayer on Fridays, but immediately after the song and the public statements mentioned above, the imam stopped asking me to. Why would the imam stop asking you to do that? If the imam knows you to be an honest man, if the imam knows that and you and the imam are good friends, so is it that you're saying that the imam put more value and worth on Crocro's words than on your reputation? This imam who you know for years, all of a sudden the imam decided to stop. I suppose it had nothing to do with the fact that you're always criticizing members of the Muslim community on Facebook and on your television program. Always have the worst of things to say about members of the Muslim community, calling them out and some of these very same imams. Again, for those of you who follow his page, but I don't follow, but I visit. He's always doing that, critical of the people who, when they put up their halal certificates and whatnot, that he ain't putting up that and all kind of thing, and criticizing those who do it. Always criticizing members of the Muslim community, but I suppose that had nothing to do with why the imam stopped asking. He goes on to say, after these interviews, I saw another drop in sales at my business, this time with Brilliant, which is near to the Diwali Nagar on ROC, which is located in Bamboo Village. The drop, I estimate, has been in the vicinity of at least $100,000 per month. Really? I attempt to retain a qualified chartered accountant to prepare a financial report, which I intended to annex to these proceedings as proof of this loss, but I could not. Why couldn't you? Because you damn lie. I attempted to retain a right. He said, everyone I visited said they could not be associated with this case because of the racial undertones created by the first defendant. They said they would lose business if they did the report. Really? So he's saying every chartered accountant that he went to said, nah, by in China, we can't handle that. We will lose business if we do this report for you. Right? As if in doing the report and in its publication, as if you need to mention who, because the public were not sitting in the gallery or sitting in the courtroom to hear this testimony. In fact, the majority of the public didn't even know when this case was going on. Right? So to see in this thing, this nonsense, people, the judge should have asked him, please provide the court with a list of names of all the accountants who you visited who told you that they can't do this because they would lose business and their reputation would be sullied. So we, the court, could call them and ask them if they told you that. Did Justice Prasad do that? I continue. He said everyone I visited said they could not be associated with this case because of the racial undertones created by the first defendant. They said they could lose business if they did the report. As justification for this statement, I got an email from one of the chartered accountants and the internal account for IBN. However, I have decided not to annex it because it will have their names and I do not want their businesses to also fall prey to any attacks by the first defendant. Around this time, the public started making memes of me, referring to me as the same person as Imchel. Additionally, I observed the close similarity between this name and mine. Phonetically, they are almost the same as well. The names even share similarity in most of the letters, and I believe other members of the public also noted this prompted the memes. I have secured examples of these memes to attach here, but there are many more. The song, the interviews, and the public statements have served as a clarion call to boycott all of my businesses, as well as my businesses I associate with. The effect is that even my new companies I wish to do business with shy away from me. When I try to advertise car parts for sale on even my personal social media accounts, I am called a racist, and this happened as recently as the 11th of March, 2023. The aforementioned aspects of the claimant's evidence were not challenged during cross-examination, and the court has no basis upon which it could reject the claimant's evidence that he actually suffered financial loss, nor that the court can dispute the damage to his reputation was actually occasioned. Well, last night, there you go, Keith Scotland. Last night, the man said the calls for boycott of his businesses resulted in him getting more business and making more money, right? It is there. Go and pull the clip. It is on his Facebook page. The whole show. You could get it. Cut out that clip where he said that the more they call for boycott is the more business he made. But that is contradictory to what he just said here in the judgment. Damn blasted liar. That is what he is, a liar. And I'm calling him out on his lie. I wouldn't be surprised if it is that he removed the link to the show. I'm sure someone of his minions probably watching now and will send it to him. Right? But Mr. Scotland, if it is that you want to file now on Krokro, if you want to file an appeal, Inchan Ishmael handed you all the information that you need to have that judgment thrown out. Right? Ask him under cross-examination. Is this you? Is this you boasting on your program on the 31st of January that the boycotts contrary to what you testified in this court? So he is guilty of perjury. He lied under oath in the court, stating that the boycott resulted in him losing business to the tune of $100,000 a month. But you come on TV last night and saying that the boycott, the cause for boycott, actually caused you to make more business. So therefore, he should be found guilty of perjury. So the police need to pay him a visit. But anyway, there was one other thing I wanted to touch on. I ain't finding it here. I should have taken note of it. Where he, Inchan Ishmael, and I think one of Krokro's attorneys sought to reference a statement that Inchan Ishmael had made subsequent to the trial in the public domain, where he said, the people of Bamboo, we have always been seen as being car thieves. He said that, right? We have always been seen as being car thieves. Who is we? Who is we? What have you ever done to dispel that notion? Since the court saying that Kroko should have made efforts and attempts to prevent the song from being published, to prevent the song from being recorded, and you come in to say, we have always been seen as being car thieves, we in the Bamboo. Where did the public get that perception from? And when you say we have always been seen, always is when? Since Kroko sang this song or years before? So Kroko was simply regurgitating a view that several members of the public already had of certain persons in Bamboo. Who is the we? We included, but then the judge goes on to say that the man never said. You quoted that, eh? So he upbraids the attorney for bringing that statement in, trying to introduce that into the matter, stating that this was not proffered at trial. Well, of course, because it was said after. And then the judge says, well, Ishmael never said that he was accused of being a car thief before. So who is the we? Who is the we? He was using the French word. You said that. We have always been seen as being car thieves. It's not now. So Kroko singing that song didn't introduce anything new into the public space. So people say, this is how you people had. When he made his statement on his television show about Kareem and the Beatum, people were saying that, people were calling him a racist. Long before Kroko penned that song, people were saying that on the talk shows, on the different radio stations, and on social media posts and stuff with the same memes that he's talking about. People were calling him car thief and all of that. Did you try to sue any of these people? But no, they decided going after Kroko because Kroko is a public profile and you're going to make an example of he. And, folks, it is 8:15. Well, I know my lockup time is 9 because I have work to do. We will continue this conversation. We will interrogate this judgment further on another day, Sunday. I'm supposed to be available on Sunday. I know my Sundays is go at being what it is. So if I'm not on Sunday, please forgive me, but I should make every effort so to do. Right? So just now, let me just set up this thing here. Hold 1 sec. 770-1763. Give me 1 second, caller. Let me just turn on this thing. Turn this off. Turn this on. Right, let's get this thing here. Okay. Right. 1 second. Let's go about this. Get this here. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning, my brother.
Good morning, sir.
Excellent analysis of the judgment so far.
Thank you.
I think the point you were searching for, the point where Justice Siptad opined that he was sure parliamentary content based on an interview that was given by Cook.
Yes.
Right? And so right here, sir, the judge put bias and so on. Right? Because interview where he would have identified that the subject of the song was in fact Mr. Ishmael, had no bearing on the matters that were brought before him.
Right.
Right? And also, about this, I hope that on the appeal, Pence would introduce the long move with the gentleman driving his car. When he, out of his own mouth, said that 90% of Indian people are racist, and that he would have benefited in business because of the support of African people. And when he also gave his with the school sect and who he would have interacted and who would have shown him support and all through his business career and so on, would have supported his various businesses. Right? And this has the exact counter show that he is a liar, as well as an inveterate liar. And also, let's also put into the mix the fact that he has savaged several prominent people of African descent. From the past president to Samuel Robinson, Reggie's minister, to the prime minister and other prominent citizens, and ridicule them on across his breaking barriers program.
Yes.
And I would put up so many clips and that the will have no other choice than to throw another thanks for that battle judgment. That's what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
And we have to be, this is like the little boy crying wolf. And I'm saying dumb, right? I would have attended potential pass. I haven't been recent vintage because what turned me off is the continuous calls for and so on. I get tired of that. And you had the next morning to go to work and that kind of thing. So that is what kind of that deep content per se and so on.
Right.
In scanning the audience before and after I went, all the years I've been going, the amount of Indian people going to tents has been not that much anyhow. And mostly what I could tell you, and this is even perhaps when the tents travel and go out of Port of Spain, it may have a greater mix. But I would have attended tent around Port of Spain, Jean Pierre Complex, Spectacular Forum, and Kaiser's was at the Luke Cinema and so on. You understand? When one of them had set up in Queen's Hall, car park space and so on, but the Savannah when that crashes and so on, I can tell you. The vast majority, and you can attest to this as well, you've been a frequent tent goer as well, that our people make up the majority of people, right? And I want to address this, right?
Yes.
When Asif Gusai's song, Rowley Mother Can, that wasn't disparaging and defamatory. He had a tent, a so-called Putney Episode tent. If somebody tell me about the content in that tent, how palatable it is.
Yes.
And let's be fair, a lot of the chutney compositions are not radio friendly. They cannot be played on national radio, even in Indian formatted station, because the content is highly suggestive, sexual nature explicit, and racist. A lot of them. A few years ago, I came across some of the co-workers then listening to one called God Make and Will in the Night. That was a big underground chutney hit. Understand?
Yes.
And when I heard that, listen to me, when I heard that, I knew I had to cut my throat with these people afterwards. That's what I'm saying. But I have this judgment, sir, as Captain Baker 2024.
Yes.
This is a revival of Tanbule 1888, brought forward to 2024. And as for Mr. King, he should go his way. He is a waste of a president. And I hope all the regional arms of TUCO would immediately convert their membership to TUCO to call a special general meeting at the conclusion of Carnival this year to deal with him and his foolishness.
Indeed.
Right?
I agree.
I want to peruse the judgment too. I mean, I didn't want to go through like 45 pages because no side was fluff.
Yes.
But what you would have highlighted is what I also looked at as well. And I'm saying, wake up, people. Wake up. It's an assault because I don't know if you caught Darren Marcel's program on I-95 last night. Yesterday afternoon. All the songs were played. I heard no racist content. What I heard was facts that were highlighted in the media and the press and what came out.
Yes.
Right? And people have to keep that in mind.
Correct.
So who is keeping people away from the tents? It's a choice. You could go or you don't want to go.
There you
and
go.
that is the fact. But you know what? I want to leave you with this one. Let them. These people like Inshan Ishmael, who and his millions who follow him and say the Palestinians racist and derogatory against them and so on. You know when the attacks were against Dr. Williams, Ross Chambers, Mr. Robinson and other people. I can recall I saw when I was a little fella by Lord Funny, Soul Man, right? All them, right? And there's so many others.
Yes.
That it was good, but instead of us getting an Indian and a Hindu prime minister, things became racist. And the same Calypsonians who do social commentary for all the years, I was saying about them is racist. When the lady said, the only pipe she know about is Mr. Bissessa pipe, what was she talking about? And that was reproduced in a calypso. Using our own rules. All the rules intent in that.
They just forget that. Yeah, they just forget those things.
Excellent. And, you know, I had to take a break from work this morning and jump in to comment on that.
I appreciate that.
This is the fight. They intend to take it to the courts, and I said it before, we also have to do that as well. We have to have our activists who is willing to go to court to bring them to book on how they treat African people. And African people are stop saying that's how they is, and what we will do. No, they have to do what they are challenge them in the same way as well.
Yes.
Thanks for the opportunity, my brother, and good show.
Thank you, sir. Right, before I take the next call, let me just read this quickly. I was looking for this too. Paragraph 1, hold 1 second, John. The second defendant in its submissions referred to comments allegedly made by the claimant on the 21st of November 2023. These were comments uttered with respect to an attempt to create a gated community in Bamboo. And the claimant, Inshan Ishmael, purportedly said, Bamboo people have never been seen as businessmen, have never been seen as the jacket and tie people. We have always been seen as car thieves, bandits, etc. This is why we don't get the respect we deserve. The words of Inshan Ishmael. We have always been seen as car thieves. Not since Kroko sang this song. He is saying we have always been seen as car thieves. What led to that? Is it because there was in fact some incident or incidents taking place in Bamboo where persons would have been seen to be in possession of stolen cars and stolen car parks? What would have led to this public perception that Bamboo people and Bamboo businessmen have always, keyword there, always. But here what Sipasad say. This court paid little regard to this aspect of the submission and found that it was regrettable that learned senior counsel would refer the court to circumstances which were not adduced during the trial. So in other words, he's saying, well, they should have bring this in the trial. How could they bring it when it happened after? But anyway, in any event, the statement made by the claimant was a general comment about the way in which the people of Bamboo are perceived, but he never expressed the view that he was always considered to be a car thief. There is therefore a patently obvious disconnect between these comments and the sting of the first defendant's rant. The man say, we have always been seen. Who is we? So he not included in we? We have always been seen. So last I checked, I went primary school, secondary school, tertiary level. As far as I know, if a person says we, they included in it. But the judge is saying that Ishmael never expressed the view that he was always considered to be a car. So you were supposed to say I instead of we, but I not included in we. Look, miss me with all your nonsense. Jenny, morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all those who are locked on. First with Ainsley King, he needs to resign. No comment now to walk back what you said about wanting political and commentary calypso to be done away with. The time passed for that. And is that we're running persons of Indian descent from the tent and all the things he will rant and rave about, he can't walk back that. So no apology on radio and in a TV station and all that could take away that. Because what it shows, if you're not saying sorry, is a person who has run off the head.
Yes.
And if you are president who represent a body of Calypsonians of different races, different cultures, different religious affiliation, different styles of singing, and you could come out against the same people that you are supposed to be protecting, it shows that you're not ready for that job. So you must go. I am me personally taking no apology. You see what the culture is concerned, African culture especially, because this is African culture. This is not Indian culture, Chinese culture, Syrian culture. This is African culture. And if you as an African man does not understand the meaning of our calypso, and you are out there fighting on the same calypso, then you're disrespecting we ancestors, we enslaved ancestors. You're disrespecting the great Calypsonians who went before, and disrespecting we as African community. That is how serious I take this thing. That is 1, 2. Ancient Ishmael cannot simply behave as though the stigma of bamboo is not real. Even Farouk Khan, in some writings, would have spoken to the fact that there was a time, I think you see what I've done it, but I read it, that when bamboo was formed, agricultural officers went in there, which is government public officers, to tell them to come off the land because it's not fit for agriculture, it's not fit for houses because it's floodland. They ran them out at gunpoint. Wasn't that a criminal act? We have all heard, and it is people can allege, well, let me say allege, we have all heard allegedly that bamboo's history is about thief cars. That can be wiped away. That is not we saying that. So when you put it in context, because they love to say beat 'em, have people in crime, and it's just corridor is crime, and they like to label African people. Even the pundit from Aranguez came out and said that is urban youths in the East-West corridor, who it is robbing Aranguez people. And who is the Aranguez people? Indian people. So it's okay for them to label us as criminals. It's okay for them to label us as thieves. It's okay for them to label us as rapists. It's okay for them to label us as worthless, uneducated, savages. But however, we can never say nothing about people of Indian descent. And that is unfair in a democratic society, because if you could speak about us, we should have the opportunity also to speak. And if you could speak about us negatively, and there are negative things about you, and we speak about it, you cannot be upset about it. And you see this behavior in this country, we have to come to a point where we have to have open and frank discussions about race relation. We could no longer leave it like that. Because this case, to the supporters of Inshal and some of Indian descent, to them it sends us some signal that we can't talk about them again. So stay in the lane. And now it's Indian time. And it goes on and on. This judgment, in my opinion, and we could question the judgment of the judge. There's nothing that says we can't do that. And we are saying, or I am saying, it is very unfortunate that a judgment like that will come out. Because what you're trying to tell us is African people can't talk. And Indian people could talk. That is how me and Liman are saying it. And that is very unfortunate. with the Calypso tent, and I think it has to do a lot with marketing.
Right.
Because you will not go in a Calypso tent and only hear it only about 2 heavy hitters, and everybody else boring. So you would prefer to go a Calypso fiesta when only had hitters, because all of them Calypso then came from tents.
Yes.
And it's the cream of the crop from the tents. So you're coming to listen to the cream of the crop. That way people are rushing. So what they probably need to do is start back having 10 clashes, where people will be excited to go and see, yeah, let me see this 10 clash against it. It's marketing. And Ainsley King, his reason for what he's saying is not correct, because he's saying we're running people of Indian descent from the tent. When have people of Indian descent flocked to the Calypso tents? So it shows that he again is not fit to lead Tuko. You can have them thoughts in your head, but to come on radio and talk it. And again, we continue to see some African people continue to fall into this space where they always want to pacify people and other people. What is the pacification about? They are racial Indians. That is a fact. Ancient Ishmael said that. He said about 95% of the racism has come from Indian people towards African people. He's an Indian. He said he know it. He grew up amongst them. So if we say what he said, how we could say we're wrong for saying it? But we don't say all Indian races. But he basically say all Indian races. We talk about a few because of the interaction with them. So why must we be held and made to feel that we do something wrong? We calling out the few Indians who are racist towards us. In 2020, the Kamla Prasad Bisasa stopped the racism that was glaring against African people in this country on social media. She knew. They did nothing. We were portrayed as people eating grass on the ground. They used to take Dr. Raleigh head and put it on top feces. They make advertisement where they have we as the vagrants sitting on the ground. And then when they go by them, because you find the person can get a greasy bag and some banana. That is not racism. In sports all over the world, if you get up and hold up banana or anything, you hold the whole club, the supporters banned from the stadium. If you only talk anything about monkey or anything, the whole club, the supporters, everybody banned from the stadium. Those things are not allowed in the international sport. And you tell me in a country, somebody could put up on Facebook and write and call me a monkey, call me ugly, call me dotish, call me a nigger, and say all kind of manner things about me. And we must take it and never respond to it. And as soon as they say anything, they become the eternal victims and says African people racist again. I mean, it's not fair. It's hurt him this morning. It is not fair. So make you have a blessed one.
Thank you, Jen. So I know that is a very, very emotive topic. And even last night too, I got incensed listening to that program when Mr. Ishmael opened the lines for calls, and you have persons calling in and saying, one gentleman in particular, that history would show that it is the persons of African descent who push the racism thing more, right? And what is he said by? That the minimum and the maximum and so on, and basically he was trying to make the implication that persons of East Indian descent are less racist. And I was surprised, and I don't know if this is Inshan Ishmael trying to walk back what he has been saying, but he made the point. He told the guy, well, no, we can't go down that road, because if you really look at it, during the 2015 election, on social media, the racist comments in the wake of the election loss was coming from persons of East Indian descent who support the UNC. Remember, in 2020, the same thing too. When they lost the election, was put feces in the doubles for African people, tell East Indian businessmen to increase the price of the goods and services to persons of African descent. Remember Miss Ramsaran, of Ramsaran, Peanut Punch, and so on, and all of these things, the comments, the nasty comments that were coming out. When the PNM loses the election, you don't see that. We take our licks. All right, well, next. But when they lose an election, oh boy, it's a totally different story. Cockroach, who is cockroach and who is this and that. But anyway, hello, good morning.
Hello, morning, Dominic.
Yes,
Morning.
sir.
Dominic, but you know, after you know, say there's all wrong to the court. They keep the election, this and that, and the thing, and all kind of things. Always, they never satisfied. But I can tell you that Ancient Ishmael on this program said a lot of things about Satmaraj.
Yes.
I am surprised that he is not saying the victory for Satmaraj.
Yes.
If he and Satmaraj and Pandit, he want to put himself in things like he's advertising. You know, he want nothing, so you want to get support from the Indian base.
Yes.
So you know, Koko always say nasty things about African, but if you dissect what Koko is saying, you can't argue with that and say that is not true.
Yes.
It's just be a little harsh in the way he say it, you know. But the message is just trying to shake up African people's mind. In one of the songs, and he said that look around in Santo, where only African is know is after that East Indian. So he was talking about leveling feeling pain. Also, he was talking about when the UNC in power, they give things like EMBD, a man who couldn't afford to buy doubles in 2010, 2010, take a handful of people that look like him and make them multi-billionaires to corrupted happening. So that is that place. But it is now suing them and everything. Also, listening to what the pages was with Frank, my view on this whole thing, and this is my personal view, is that Frank got involved in the trial. The trial is supposed to be Ancient Ishmael versus Koko.
Yes.
But Frank seems to be involved in it, and Frank get personal. It's like it's from Indians. Basically, that's what he wanted to say, is that Koko is attacking Indians.
Yes.
And it seems like Frank, he's one of them who don't like Koko, just like the two officers who, when they saw the car inside the road, when they investigate, saw Koko in the car sleeping. But when they realized this Koko, they started to rough him up. Right. Frank now got Koko in his space, and he has the authority because he bigger bad in the office when on his road, everybody has to respect and everything. And he just took advantage of that because he did not listen to the pure fact in which you just ripped through that judgment that he didn't get. You literally ripped through that too. Because the things that he is saying, Ancient does it. And Ancient has his own war against the Mahasabha. I have heard Ancient to criticize the Mahasabha and the Hindus and them real bad. And tell how, especially when under the UNC regime, and how the Muslims don't get anything, and the thing and this and that. But because of race and in the past, Koko is also known to be attacking the Mahasabha and Satmaraj, and he falls under that religion. Let me say that. He supports our religion. So if you're attacking the religion like that, and he feels that you're attacking him. So that's basically what that's the feeling I gain with his judgment, Because I remember some years past, you have people who have cases that it's flagrantly thing, and you make some judgment. And these people then always file the case, and somebody, I think was the former AG said that, they just put in a case and everything is ready, they coming up, they score, you pull it back, so there are people in the court. You file and pull out until they get it. Because they know with him, they get their justice. And that is a problem with the judiciary, because your next topic you will have to talk about in the future is the perception of corruption in Trinidad and Tobago. From 2015, it dropped, but it's lingering right there. And what the lady lingered on, two things she lingered on. The laws are not passing, and the corruption, the perceived corruption by politicians. And then what I have always been crying out for is the judiciary. She spoke especially and lengthy on the judiciary, and we have to dissect that in the future, not now. We have to deal with Frank and the first thing, and deal with that to see how that impacts on Frank's ruling. Because Frank had to be, you're actually muzzling the art form. And on top of that, the Tuco president, who was supposed to be the defender of Tuco itself, because that's the Palestinians and everything. Without hearing the full judgment, he agreed. And in practice, judgment, he said certain things about the art form and how certain fellas are getting money and things and that rig and all kinds of stuff. Is that true? If you agree that he's saying that true, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I hear people talking about, he did that, but I agree. I have no problem with him. I will support it. It is business and those things and everything, but it's bad. I mean, his first thing was to help his Palestinian brothers. And I was told on the same thing by a former Tuco president that he have not reached out to Coco since this whole thing started. And he represents Calopsonians. And if he has this personal view and he don't like the social commentary and he don't like what he said on the radio, did he bring that up in meetings with the Calipsonians? So the part that he as the president, the changes he wants to make and going forward with the competition. This is what we know. We're going to stamp out that and we replace it with this, or we just fix it out totally and relevant things. So it have no category for that. And if you're singing as a thing online, you'll drop point. You know these things you put it, but you can't just come out just so without consulting with the stakeholders of your administration, which is the Calipsonians, and make a damning statement like that and expect, for that to slide. And when you realize you make a mistake, now you're trying all how to twist it like that is not what you really was saying. And this is saying because the radio station didn't say the whole thing or whatever. But even when you listen to the whole thing, that's really what's going on, man. So I think that if we have any kind of integrity, we have done serious damage, because that is not something that we could just say, okay, all right, well, you apologize and there you go. You rule on a court matter. You make a statement based on a court matter and create a judgment that is very faulty for the Palestinians. You're going to kill the art form. And your job is to build the art form. And if you see some of these things as problems, you're supposed to be working with your people in the facility to better it. Help them better themselves, give them the guidance, and you make your changes in the boardroom or around the guys and them. But you don't come up on national radio station and make this kind of thing without nobody moving, because he shocked me the first time I hear that he have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
So these are some of the things I think Frank. I think Frank is gets personal into it, and Frank judgment based on what he feels and how he feels about Coco, just like how the two policemen and them. They are carried side of the road and they're going to investigate to see what's going on. See the person, realize how it's Coco, then you start to rough up the man. This is exactly what I think. This like Frank just did it. And Frank heard real bad, and as you look through that thing, this should be appealed. And Tuco should have an interest in appealing this. It's owning up a Coco, So the art form, that is what Tuco's supposed to be doing, instead of making them stupid things. When Dale and Tony put things and asking them kind of stupid question of what with the heat of the moment, whatever they did. You should have said no comment at this time until you review the judgment or some kind of thing. Or if you see them calling you and you know this thing, they just avoid going down that road and talking about Coco at the time until you understand the whole thing. Because it seems that he never understands the whole situation. He just know a thing and he was upset, and he made his statement based on how he was upset, and that alone, it was against the art form, and it against the tutor and tutor policies that they have right now. And here's the reason I'm asking for him to, just casually step aside and let somebody else run the art form, because you really messed up your art form. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
How are you doing?
Very good, man.
Dom, hear this, sir. You see, since when people make that statement, let me tell you something. Statement is a dangerous thing according to how we make it. You see, since they make that statement about doubles and put slices in doubles.
Yes.
Yeah, I stopped buying doubles. I done with that. You could be who? I stopped buying that. And I could make it, or my wife could make it, or make it. I stopped buying that. I said, I telling you, me letting them people upset me with that thing, and I continue now watching it, like, you understand? I stopped that. When you see statements out, some statements will cause a lot of people. I have people who follow the same thing like I, and not it. I want to say something about this kind of thing that they were talking about how people, Indian people, let me tell you something. According to what Jenny said, the marketing is one. Plus, I remember, you see when Robinson and Pandy would fall out, and watch them fellows singing them song. Indian people, some of them used to run this, and they like to hear them song at that time, I telling you, what? They like to hear that when Bosman sings certain target against them, so Robinson and them, and whatever, they're running, and they're glad to hear that. You know that? And watch them now. Look up them from the time they come on to Pandy and them, you'll find out what kind of thing, what the man singing, what's man singing, me see no racist statements on that. I see more racist statements on the UNC page and stuff like that. UNC on their Facebook. And the leader and them telling them that thing, as you say. You know what I'm saying? International say that them is racist. Not we are saying that alone. Him, he self say that.
Yes.
So we should play back from my tape. He go change the back. He was a hater assassin. Right? And especially Hindu people at one time, he was against Hindu people because of how they were thinking. And the Indian people are how they were thinking, they're more racial. He said that. But now he's trying to trump up. He's trying to get in a good book. If you're checking, he's trying to get back in a good book and the money. Like, yeah, I realize that. You see, trying to get support. And he's a liar. He's a nasty liar, according to you. He's a liar. He lies too much. You remember, I always remember when he said that, the business falling apart because he can't get US, right? Now you come and use another state, but these men and them, I do know, and fellows and them really is it, no? These fellows and them are trying to be God's person. He carries the whole side of them. The ones they call the police, former policeman, they call we're talking all about many months now. You know? So these are people, as Dr. already said, you have to watch. You really have to watch them because they ain't easy. Thank you so much for this contribution. I just hope you enjoy your stay.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Dom. How are you, sweetie?
Morning, I am good.
Oh, the politics.
Remember a guy called Harry Prasad Mangal Singh, the U.S. Senator? What did he say? To do what? To lies black people. Remember that? Can I tell you? Right? They call Raul, Private Raul, all kind of names. They sang about him. It wasn't wrong, right? It was a Private Raul, you're a rapist. That's a compliment. No?
Yes.
When that bamboo sing, say he know his father is a compliment. I'm saving everything that man said, every single thing. I will dissect it with a microscope from heaven. You open doors in child. Since you open doors to people, make sure you don't slip up. Because I'll be Hawkeye watching you. You call us monkeys and cockroach and pest. What is that? PM dance, you had children, vaccine vagrant, black man Oreo, slave master's name. It wasn't wrong then, no. It was right because it is us. I think it is red or African, small-minded, no-minded people. It's a problem. If they had a way, Pan, Calypso will be no more. Right? Remember Cubs last sometime
I think when Soko was big, got a big up. Some artists said from the other side that they didn't get the big up. Not past the chutney, they get big up. Everything we do is to them. Why is that? PM Round, you get doctorate, they wrote Howard to bring it back. How come nobody sue Howard for that as yet? They sue Howard too. And I hope international with the station never gets a license because he pushed racism. I hope forever and ever and ever he gets no license. And I hope his business is bankrupt and boycotted forever. No, I'm serious. What I say, boycott that bamboo man. Bankrupt that bamboo man. Right? Because you labeled the people as nobody. The young Marcel got a law degree. What's the big deal? You're out of place. You're fast and out of place, man. You rely on black people like me to make your business. They forget, you know. He who holds the money has the power. And African people boycott him, bankrupt him, bring him to his racist knees. We have the power. If we don't buy, he can't pay a bill. We are the masters of businesses. If we have sense, black people, I decree today, the 1st of September 2024, you will prosper. Every black African person, I decree for prosperity, businesses, houses, land, doctors, lawyers. I speak the best over you. You will no more be called pest or cockroaches. You will be the blessed in this land. Dominic, amen? You agree with me?
Amen.
Bye-bye, later.
Thank you. See here. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello.
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Oh, well, you see me, I'm still angry. With this thing with the Tuko President King, show me that he and Sipasad not frank. And the president is historically dumb. To say political commentary prevent the East Indian from attending the tent, that's a big lie. We had Dogra, we had the mighty Indian, we had Hindu Prince, we had Drupati singing with Shadow. Put them together, they never brought 200 people into Calypso tent. The man that brings Indians into the Calypso tent was Lord Shorty with Indian lovers. And you know when they left? When he became Shorty and he sing Om Shanti Om, they say Rasta interfering with the religion. In King, we had, I wonder if you know we had members of parliament from the Calypso fraternity, like Winston Gypsy Peters. We have a man from Tobago. I think he passed just the other day. We have a young, new minted senator. And we had Raymond Quivido, Attila the Hun. All of them was in government position. This man he come to build this Tuko empire. He come to destroy it. He gotta go. Abort.
Thank you, sir. Let's see here. Well, listen. Hello, good morning.
At these 2 points here, I remembered on Inson's program, he called Suraj Ratan about I think it was the same land that he wanted up in thing there. He's waiting for it and he didn't get it yet, so he was frustrated. You know when he questioned this man come out of the blue and asked the man live on TV on his show. If his daughter bring home an African, would you accept the African? And I was so disappointed in why he did that. That should have been discussed between them personally. And then he could have probably said, you know, I asked him sometime or other thing, but you call him man concerning the Baccarat ground, where the ground is supposed to get a piece of land, piece of land. And while talking to the man, all the thing, the man gave an explanation why he get our first thing. That question just popped up. Then he went further to set up Dr. Rowley. He aired on his program an edited version of a conversation, a private and personal conversation that he had with Dr. Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And to say that, look how he does talk and how he ruled and thing and how he think and blah, blah, just because he wanted Dr. Rowley to assist him in getting US dollars for his business. And he used to be crying day and night about how the banks and thing and how the currency took thing and they don't know from US and nobody can get US and all kind of thing. What he didn't tell us is the libel so he put against Trinidad Express and OCM. How the libel is named for he's being watched by the system is watching him because well, it went on and it say, I don't want to say it on your program because you know when they're watching you for moving US dollars, you know what list that's put you on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he did so that he lost that and had to pay cost. And if you read the judgment of it, the only judge just say, well, the newspaper could have been a little more, softer on him and how they put it up and things. But basically, he does the same thing on his program. I just give it for example that what he did to 2 parliamentarians. That's just 2 basic examples. So, John Ishmael can't talk about things because he used to be saying that he can't get US because the banking want to give him and thing and all the partners and they're talking about the conglomerates and then like the Macy's and the Answer Macals. I mean, they are foreign companies. They have foreign companies, they have foreign bank accounts, so they will the company make it. If they want money, all they do is just use the money from there and buy the good. But for you to say that and without having any and not provide one fact, and then Frank did the same thing too, Frank talked about the racialism in Coco songs and everything and that, but he never really provide any, pointers to what the Coco say that was hatred towards the Indian people. They can't point to it because basically what he would say, he says it's wrong. He makes comparison between the 2 races and how the Indian people and them are moving up and the black people staying behind. And the opportunities that they get in and the things that they're doing and getting through, the Africans and them don't have that. So they take personal objections because I can say that when you listen to Section 34 on what Kamala did for Ishan Steve, and then you have Brian White and you have all these other people, you have she's right there, sit down right next to her there, you have somebody who the Americans and them finger pointing. You know people in your thing started to make turn your attention to Americans, that you are human traffickers, you have your deputy political leader, he is involved in a serious lawsuit of bad governance, you're the minister, bad governance, but they are being protected. But you check and see how much Africans get that kind of thing. When Eric Williams and them was said that they took bribes, they didn't get no protection. They like to talk about free back and all them kind of thing. Them thing dead a long time and PNP and them pay the price for it. They always talk about PNP people sycophant, but they can't explain it what 33.3 and 29.12. What that was all about. But when you look at their base, all these things about EMBD and all these things are out of Moonilal. But Moonilal won in his area by a landslide. So who's more sycophant? And who's for country and who's for party? I mean, these are some of the things that we look at. You know, I telling you, Kuko has a strong case against Incha and Ishmael, and I am saying Kuko has to get involved to a system in appealing that thing, because not because this Kuko is saying that, not because Kuko, I think is a art form in going forward, because you're Muslim, these guys that are in the can't talk. You know, you think that's what happened, Matt? You think that's what happened? And you don't think that Matt and them looking at that judgment from him to know that, hey, you see that? If anything like that had happened with us, or that our same fellow, we have to appeal it to protect the media. The same thing them do. Social commentary is all about that. Social commentary is about bringing forward the issues, things that been printed, things that's out there, and sing about it. And if a minister or a parliamentarian is accused and alleged of doing something, and these guys sing about it, right? It's because you clear yourself. But once you clear yourself and you think they don't sing about it, once you clear yourself, they don't sing, but most of them still inside there, a set of baggage on all of them. So they sing about it. You know? All right, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Hello.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
I'll be very brief. No, I'll be brief. Dominic?
Yes, sir.
I empathize with Sister Jenny, and I understand the fight. And I understand exactly what she's attempting to see. And she has been steadfast in what she has been saying all along. And I want to say I support her. Secondly, Dominic, I understand that LMCS Kazimali has sold not all, but a good bit of his equipment
Yes.
to a contractor
Mm-hmm.
in Guyana.
Yes.
And because he's complaining that he cannot get work anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
That is the reason he's giving. Right? So he has sold a lot of his equipment and so on. I don't know if as yet he has completed the process of paying monies to the families that he said that he would do since last week, Friday.
Yes.
I don't know how long it would take, and I am also made to understand that the insurance has been made retroactive. But I understand as well that that is not a problem, because many times when your insurance is about to expire, the new one is already made out, just waiting for you to bring in the money to pay. And it is effective from that particular day. So I don't know how this would work out with the insurance company.
Unless instructions were given to do so, that's not on. But my understanding is that the insurance company does not want to pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then he has a lot of problems.
Correct.
And maybe that is why he has decided to pay out the workman's compensation and attempt to call it a day.
Yes.
So I want to hear what Attorney Dramara have to say about that. If you were to accept his $250,000, or if you find that too little bit, because he won $5 million from Paria. So I wonder if he could take 250 from LMCS, who has gotten so much of millions of dollars over the last so many years, as a regular contractor with Petrotrin and then Paria. Because to make over $50 million between 2018 when Paria was formed up to today is a heck of a lot of, you could say up to 2022, that's 4 years. That's a heck of a lot of money.
Yes.
And if the fact is that he was employed with the company long before that, for many, 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 many years, I understand. You could imagine how much money this man would have made over those 10, 20, 25 years doing all of that work.
being contracted by Petrotrin.
Yes.
But that is another story. Dominic, many times we have heard this saying, this old cliche, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And many of the old folks have attempted to try to instill that in our minds, you know. So when it was that a particular community celebrated the ascension of one of their own to be part of the bar of Trinidad and Tobago, and they all gathered to celebrate his success alongside him at the Hall of Justice and so on, I thought that would have been laudable for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, that here was a principal and prime example of someone who was now being called to the bar from a village that people would have laid all sorts of descriptions to. To say that, listen, here it is that there are individuals in these villages, these communities that are moving on, and this is one in particular, but there may be others who may not have made news, that, you know, thank God that there may be a turnaround, and there may be a lot of other people, we must go and look for them, who are doing extremely well coming out of certain areas that have been ascribed by other people as being nefarious, a nefarious community, a community of all sorts of things that they describe them as. But when a man goes out of his way to say, so what? I won. We have so many doctors and lawyers coming out from by we here. When you look to denigrate such a successful story, and then when I heard on Tuesday on Julia Davies' program, when the mother of Kareem Marcel said after she was celebrating the success of her son, and to see after how the village or the community was described by this individual, and the follow-up social media attacks on somebody they did not even know before, it brought tears to her eyes. And when Kareem looked into his mother's eyes with the tears in it, he said, Mommy, don't worry. We will be okay. I am okay. He gave support to his mother because there was pain, as she said. Ms. Wilson said there was pain to know that the success of her son was being described in such a manner as though there was something wrong. And I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago today, well, why was that so? Is it because he was of African descent? Why was that so? Should we be happy that a fellow Trinidadian has made it out of a community that has been so described for eons as being one of those that pilfer and pelt stone and do this and do that and do the other? Why should we not be happy and glorifying the success of one, that's so that others may follow in his footsteps? And this is what all this is about, you know. So Krokro all simply did was what all Calypsonians have done throughout the years. You understand? And spoke up and sung about it. He didn't sing about something that was, he trumped up in a dream that he had when he got up from his bed one morning. It was because of a certain individual trying to denigrate a certain community, because he find that was nothing for people to be celebrating about. And therefore he sung about it. And that is what all this is about, all this talk, all this time, Dominic. So Dominic, and when you have a president of TUCO coming to say, well, I support the judgment, I want to ask this question. And you saying that, hey, you see that, I want to get rid of that. I know that should be done away with. Political commentary should be done away with. I want to ask this question. Let's assume he gets his way. What calypsos we going to be listening to? In other words, isn't he contributing to the destruction of calypso? Before you come with ideas, like what I heard a gentleman say on TV6 this week, that the the all-inclusive fest now, it's not just about food, drinks, a stage, and a soca artist. But they are now bringing in people to improve the decor so that you have an ambience, so you have a sense of, hey, I want to go to this because look at how people are dressing now. It's no longer short pants and a sneakers and I'm coming to sweat. But I'm dressing as though I'm going to a ball, I'm going to a gala, I'm going to the Grammys. Yeah? People are now dressing in a particular way because the ambience and the environment now it has become totally different. It's what you was attempting to ascribe to. So therefore, it's not just about, hey, we got plenty food, we got plenty drinks, and we got them soca artists, them famous soca artists, and that is it. Only come and spend and have a good time and then go home. It's no longer sneakers, it's no longer jeans and short pants and halter tops as we used to call it long time. But people are dressing in gowns, coming out with the Sunday best, and going and shopping and buying beautiful dresses and so on, and coming well dressed to these functions. You understand? I'm going to take selfies and pictures so it'll make news and papers and so on, and the decor and the statues and everything that goes along with it. So it enhance the environment. Why it is King are talking about doing something in order to create an environment to make people come to the tent. It just happened, it just said it, well, it's California in a tent and I have a MC and that is it. What is that? What has he done since he has taken over Tuco to say, well, I want to create an environment so people will be attracted to come. But instead you go on there, you consult with your other fellow executives, but you come to say, and he's already the spoken word according to Jenny, you can't take him back because it was in your mind all the time. That I don't want no political commentary. That's too divisive. Really? Darian Marcel played political commentary yesterday, and what was divisive about it? It was educative. And let me tell you something. You spoke about Saturday coming. I have been to many Calypso fiestas in South. I'm from South, and I never see a group from Pinal. I never see a group from Charlieville. I never see that. So if you have over 30,000 people coming there to watch Calypso Fiesta, where is, you could say that Calypso is dying because they didn't gain support from a certain sector of the community. If they don't want to come, what is that? Well, Calypso is supposed to be all of our culture, not just African people. It's born out of African people, but it's all about Trinidad and Tobago. And if they don't want to come because certain people put in thing in their head that hey, you don't go to that because it's time for them African and them. But then that's your problem. You deal with that. But it's up to you as president of Tuco to do something to say, no, listen, I want to encourage everybody. So this is what I am going to do. Instead of coming and being divisive. And when you realize you're getting some lick straight, you're coming on TV on 95.5 yesterday to see how you're sorry. We ain't taking that. Go. You need to go. And I am saying Ainsley King must go. He must go. And I'm surprised to hear people like Collis Liverpool and a man like Sugar Allos who was bitter for years. Bitter. Even worse than Coco. But now today he talks to singing a different song. Well, I guess after she is so royal, maybe he has had a change of heart and a change of mind. How sad. But this is what we have to live with today. And we have to continue this fight, Dominic, because come Saturday, we will see these throngs. And I want to see how many people about other races will come and say, no, we come to support Calypso. This is we thing. This is our art form. And we ain't only going to chutney soca, we coming to Calypso Fiesta. I wait to see, because it'll be all over the world, it'll be all on TV, and I waited to see the type of crowd that's going to be coming on there in the droves and paying the money to come and see good Calypso. You understand? And Ainsley King, you're lucky you ain't coming on stage. Because what they have done to Dennis, the late, great Dennis Plummer, is pale to what would happen to you if you was coming to sing on that stage, sir. I promise you that. because the RTPP posse was waiting on you. But you didn't bring in no song as usual. You just did to bump your lazy gum and do nothing for Tuco. Absolutely nothing. That one song could have you so noticed for you to come out of your shell to say what you say and not want to pull it back. You want to walk it back? No, we're not accepting that. It was in your heart, it was in your mind, and you said it. And this is why we have a problem with Calypso in Trinidad and Tobago, because the people who are supposed to be lifting it up is making every effort to pull it down. People that look like you and me. We have to put a stop to that. You understand? We have to support Croco. Because at the end of the day, as I said to you on Sunday, there'll be many more Frank sympathizers. It's not going to stop. It's just going to get worse. And that is what is aiding and abetting people like Inshan Ishmael to say what he could say and get away with it. Because you have identified this morning many of these things to show that he has walked back on a lot of things that he has said before, and to get sympathy from a judge who is already came with a biased attitude and biased determination of exactly what transpires. But thank God we have good attorneys representing Croco, and I know justice will eventually go his way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, morning.
Morning. Yes, morning.
That is why probably they don't pick Croco and international. But we get the head man, and he just tell them, take them because he don't want to hear no political. It's not that.
Interesting.
That is how they treat them properly. They don't want it, they gotta
right.
them out. So that's how it's done. On this over again. Yes, Dominic?
Thank you. It's like you has opened up a can of worms there, boy. Not a very good one. Folks, I'm past my time. Apologies to the folks on Facebook. But I think my device was telling me, I guess, he's not prepared to go after 9 o'clock. So of course the battery died, and that's the reason that we're down on Facebook. But we'll sort that out in my next trip to the US. So folks, thank you for joining me. It is now 9:20. Yes, we went over a little bit this morning, but for those of you who are still on the YouTube live, thank you so much. And we will continue the conversation on Sunday, God's willing. But if you don't see me on Sunday, I'm just saying in advance, I may have something to do on Sunday, but we'll see how that goes, right? So I'm sure this conversation is going to continue. As I said, in my view, Mr. Ishmael would have handed Croco and his team all the evidence that they need to appeal this matter and to contradict what he would have said at the original trial, where he claimed that Croco's song would have cost him business to the tune sales to the tune of $100,000 per month. Of course, the court indicated they didn't seek to ask Mr. Ishmael to provide hardcore evidence to corroborate that statement. And then last night, we heard him say that he calls for the boycott, contrary to what he said in his written statement, that boycott calls actually resulted in more business. I wonder if his attorney cringed when he said that. But I will go through it again, and I will identify, see if I can isolate where he said it. And on Sunday, if I'm on, I will play it for you guys to hear, or I will ask admin to post it on the page so it would be there for perpetuity in the event that Mr. Ishmael should decide to remove the recording from his Facebook page. So enjoy the rest of your day as always. As I always tell you, make it a productive one, the rest of your week, and God's willing, we will chat again on Sunday. Yeah, so the folks on Facebook, you can always pull back the live on YouTube and just to get the tail end. Jen, stay strong. I'm seeing persons are commiserating with you in the chat. And yes, we felt your pain this morning, Jen. They're overdoing it, really overdoing it, and it's time
it's time that we take a stand. So hold the faith, keep the faith, Jen. So folks, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. That's it for me. I'm going to do the people and them work.